latest live stream. Hope everybody's having an okay morning so far. It is going to be a very active morning as we do have Hurricane Ian as a near category 5 hurricane. It is forecasted to make landfall near Cape Coral up to Sarasota, somewhere in that range within the next couple of hours, and it's going to be a impactful landfall. We're expecting catastrophic winds, catastrophic storm surge is already ongoing. We have a lot of flooding out there. There's a lot of live cam feeds that we have and we'll be able to show you in this live stream. So there's a lot going on. I'm going to give you a latest breakdown of what's going on right now and what you can expect here across Florida going to the rest of today. Before we get too far into it, make sure to hit the like button so this gets out to more people. Also make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Let's first begin with the we actually have an extreme wind warning that's in effect. This is a bit of a rarity. It typically happens with these stronger hurricanes. This is currently in effect for Cape Coral, Bonita Springs, Fort Myers Beach. They're all included in an extreme wind warning. What this basically means is that within the next couple of hours, it is likely that this area will begin to see winds exceeding 115 miles per hour. By the way, Ian is currently a category 4 hurricane. Sustained winds are at 155 miles per hour right now, just off the coast of Florida. It strengthened a lot overnight, if you've not already heard. It is currently up to a category 4 hurricane still. Again, extreme winds right now. A category 5 hurricane is classified as a hurricane with sustained winds at 156 miles per hour or greater. We're only 1 mile per hour right now off from that. So this could potentially make landfall as a category 5 hurricane here in western Florida. And you can see the massive eye here. We have the eye wall already moving inland over Cape Coral right now. I'll show you more on that here in just a second. And it's going to be making landfall here again within the next couple of hours. It will likely still be a category 3 hurricane a little bit further inland and most likely near Orlando in the central Florida area. It could still be either a very strong tropical storm or it might still be a category 1 hurricane through central Florida. So this is a storm that we have to watch very closely for over the next 24 hours. Eventually it'll go back into the Atlantic Ocean and it'll eventually make landfall back up in South Carolina most likely as still a strong tropical storm. So that's what's forecasted as of right now. This is the last several minutes with this hurricane. Again, it is still strengthening. It very well could become a category 5 as it makes landfall. Again, this is our extreme wind warning. It's that blue box that is currently included in Cape Coral. Again, life-threatening impacts are currently happening here in southwest Florida from about Cape Coral back through Sarasota. Even Naples is seeing pretty catastrophic impacts. So overall, this is a horrible situation that's happening right now across West Florida. Other than that, we're also seeing some of the outer bands on the East Coast. There is an increasing tornado potential along the East Coast. That would be anywhere from Port St. Lucie back up through Port Orange for this afternoon. Several tornadoes will be possible today across Florida. Another tornado outbreak is likely. We have a tornado watch until 5 p.m. today. That includes all of southern Florida, goes back through Orlando. So that's another large area to look at there. All right, let me get to some of the live cams. Let's go ahead and take a look at those first, and we'll go back to the other stuff. We have some crazy live cams coming in, and it's pretty crazy what we're seeing right now. This is the first one out of Cape Coral right now. We are seeing extreme winds, and it looks like there's power lines actually down over this live cam as of right now. Storm surge is obviously going to come into factor, high tide, all that sort of stuff. We're going to probably see potentially some storm surge here as well where we're looking right now, so we'll be watching this live cam very closely, again, as this hurricane approaches Cape Coral. But that is a crazy sight to see as of right now in portions of Florida. It's again crazy what we're seeing out there. Also, we have another live cam. I'm going to try to get to that as well. This is going to show the flooding that's ongoing right now. Let's go ahead and go back over to this cam. This is the flooding, and this is again a live camera. This is just south, I believe it's just west of Cape Coral. This is on an island. The flooding is absurd. You can see the mailbox right there. That's somehow still standing up. A lot of debris there in the roadway. Again, it's a little bit blurry, but it gives you a general idea of what we're seeing right now near Cape Coral. Extreme flooding is currently ongoing, and obviously this is not a sight that you want to see here on the west coast of Florida. So extreme impacts, catastrophic impacts are being made here. I really do hope that most of these people evacuated, if not everybody. That's really would be the best case scenario, because again, this is extreme what we're seeing right now, and we're not even really still at the peak of this hurricane right now. We do have another live cam to get to as well. Let me go and see if I can find that one. And it'll also show kind of what we're looking at is right now. And this is another live cam. It's a little bit blurry as well, but it gets you another general idea here of what we're looking at right now in, again, this same area, just west of Cape Coral. I can't remember the island. It's Sanibel Island, I believe. Sanibel Island, maybe? That's where we're currently looking. It's a bit blurry again, but you can see the stop sign on the right side. That is what we're looking at. Again, that is basically almost, stop sign high water at this point. So it is extreme flooding that we're seeing, all the storm surge, etc. It is pretty crazy what we're seeing right now here in Florida. Let's go back over to the other live cam and let's go ahead and take a look back at, again, this is over in Cape Coral. This is also currently a live camera. So this is our live camera feed that we're seeing, again, over in Cape Coral. And again, power outline seems to be down here over the camera, which is kind of crazy. But other than that, again, the trees are swaying a lot right now. And that's obviously going to continue here over the next little while as we continue to see this hurricane, again, make landfall here near Cape Coral or even as far north as Sarasota. That's really our potential over the next little while. But again, crazy live cam that we're seeing right now here in Florida. It's definitely not something that you want to see. And yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable what we're seeing right now in Florida. Let's go back over to the live radar feed. Again, this is currently looking at the infrared imagery. Let's go ahead and give you a look at the live radar because that will give you a bit more of an idea of where the eye wall is and whatnot, because the eye wall is, again, moving inland right now. So anywhere in that eye wall, we're talking about Category 3 potentially winds or even higher than that. Let's go ahead and get the live radar in here, though. Should take a second to load in, but we'll get a little idea of what we're looking at here. Again, the blue box, if you're just tuning in, is an extreme wind warning. That is for 115 mile per hour winds or greater, which is very likely we'll be able to see that here in Cape Coral. That, again, includes Cape Coral right now. This is a look at the hurricane. Again, it's not far away from the coast right now. I'm actually pretty sure it's not far at all. Let's go ahead and take a look at how far this is right now from Cape Coral, because it's not too far away from making landfall. As of right now, it's about 16 miles or so from about basically the eye or so from making landfall. So it's about an hour or two from landfall. Again, it'll make landfall somewhere there along the coastline, most likely. Unless it goes a bit further north, it might be another, an hour or two, but that's currently what we're looking at now is about 20-ish miles or so until this makes landfall. So again, it's just west of Cape Coral. Again, the eye wall is very dangerous. Anything in this area is your eye wall. And again, we're seeing that eye wall now move into Cape Coral. Winds are currently exceeding most likely over 100 miles per hour. And also wind gusts are expected to exceed 190 miles per hour on the extreme coastline once this eye of the storm gets closer. So obviously a whole different story here in terms of the winds and whatnot from yesterday. We were only talking about a strong Category 3 or like 130 mile per hour Category 4 hurricane, somewhere in that range. It is almost, it's really rapidly strengthened overnight. We're again up to a 155 mile per hour Category 4 hurricane. It is only, again, 1 mile per hour from being a Category 5 hurricane. So it's extremely close, and it is a vicious hurricane that's currently about to move inland here across Florida. We do have some other reports coming in from the East Coast. We're already beginning to see some tropical storm force winds back up on the East Coast near Palm Bay. So we've had that coming in. Back in Cape Coral, I think I'm going to take a look and see if we have METAR data coming in. We'll go ahead and take a look at that. Let's go ahead and put that on the screen. We'll see what the wind gusts have been estimated here at the airports recently. I'll put this in a little bit of a loop here if we can. But this is a look at least we're going to try to see if we have any airport data coming in here along the West Coast. And we'll see. Okay, so here are some of the wind gusts that we're getting. East Naples, as of about an hour ago, was at 61 mile per hour winds. Over in just east of Cape Coral, 54 mile per hour winds. And again, that was about an hour ago or so there. Also back over near Port Charlotte, about 58 miles per hour. Near Venice, we're talking about 61 mile per hour winds have been at least reported. Even back up in Tampa Bay, we're still seeing tropical storm force winds right now. And obviously that could increase as this continues to move off to the northeast. The East Coast is also getting pretty close to tropical storm force winds as well. Near Coral Springs in Miami, we're actually very close to tropical storm force winds. So we are already beginning to see some tropical storm force impacts there on the East Coast. All right, let me get over to some of the forecast graphics. There's a lot of updates there as well. Obviously, we're only a couple hours from landfall, so a lot of this stuff is already basically, you don't have much time to evacuate if you're going to. But we're currently actually looking at the potential for up to 18 feet of storm surge near Bonita Beach to Englewood. That is a big update from yesterday. So we're talking the potential for up to 18 feet of storm surge there near the Charlotte Harbor. That's where it's forecasted to make landfall as of right now, as either a very strong Category 4 hurricane or potentially it gets to a Category 5 hurricane, which again is extremely catastrophic to those areas. We're still talking 6 to 10 feet back through about the middle of Longboat Key to Englewood, and then also back through about East Cape Sable. We're still talking up to 8 feet of storm surge. So there's a lot of storm surge expected here on the West Coast over the next 24 hours. Back on the East Coast, nothing has changed really. It's actually lowered a little bit. It's 3 to 5 feet of storm surge from the Flagler-Volusia County line all the way back through Savannah River, and St. Johns River is forecasted to get up to 5 feet of storm surge, which is also dangerous because I'm pretty sure that river right now is actually near flood stage already. So that's obviously not a good sign at all for for the storm surge potential as well. So obviously a lot of things to talk about there. Another thing to note here, we do have an extreme flash flood risk. Obviously this is pretty much given at this point, but that would be from Jacksonville all the way back down through southwest Florida, from almost as far south as Naples. So I have a large risk for extreme flooding today. Just long term, for those that are in Carolinas, this is the current track. It's most likely going to go back in the Atlantic Ocean and make a second landfall over in the Carolinas. Eventually from there, it's a big question mark whether it goes out to the east into the sea or if it continues a northerly track. There's a couple of scenarios there, but again, that's pretty long term as of right now. And here's another look, by the way, at Hurricane Ian. Again, it's about to make landfall within the next couple of hours or so there near Cape Coral, maybe as far north as Sarasota, but it seems more likely than not this is going to make landfall somewhere there near Cape Coral. It is also slowing down a little bit, so that is also a concern with the flash flooding potential. We are probably going to see, you know, extreme flooding along, again, really anywhere on central Florida and whatnot. Currently the rainfall totals that are estimated back up in Orlando now are between 10 to 15 inches of rain. Isolated 20 inches is possible. Daytona Beach is forecasted to get up to 20 inches of rain as well. So we are talking very extreme rainfall totals that are expected, again, across Interstate 4 and also just north of there. That's where we're expecting the worst of the flooding to be with this hurricane. But obviously here near the coastline, we are talking extreme winds and damage that is coming out of this here over the next little while. Again, this is back to the live cam as of right now, and it's actually getting even worse there in Cape Coral. It is getting very windy. A lot of rain is falling right now. Again, that is currently in Cape Coral. Really, I'm pretty sure that's pretty close to the coast, so that's what we're looking at. Again, extreme winds are starting to be felt there. Again, that is most likely getting close to category 2 to 3 force winds that we're about to see there in Cape Coral as this eye wall again continues to move inland, which is about to over this live cam. So again, in Cape Coral as of right now, this is what we're looking at in terms of the hurricane force winds right now. So again, very catastrophic as of right now, what we're seeing there in Cape Coral. And again, what we're seeing over the live cam, those like power lines, it looks like those wires, I'm pretty sure that's something to do with the power line. So that's obviously pretty extreme stuff that we're seeing there. Let me try to go and show you guys this again. Let's go back over to another. I'm going to show you guys a different live cam real quick if I can pull it up. 1 second. But yeah, we have a live cam on the island that's just west of Cape Coral as well. This is another view of it. This is a view I haven't showed you yet. This is another live cam. Let's go back over to this screen. This is another live view. Actually, it just froze, so I think the live cam just broke as we when we went to it. All right, let's go back to this one for a second, and let me find another live cam. I actually think that live cam is officially broken because that one just froze. Let's go back. You can still see, again, extreme winds right now in Cape Coral. Back over to the live cam that is showing the flooding just west of Cape Coral on an island. This is from the storm surge that we're seeing. And again, you can see it's almost mailbox high. And I'm surprised that mailbox is still standing right now at the top left of your screen. A lot of debris in the water as well. Again, it's a pretty blurry photo or video here, but we're definitely getting an idea of what we're looking at. Again, this is live. This is not like 20 minutes ago. This is currently ongoing here in, I believe it's Sanibel Beach, if I'm not, or Sanibel like Island. It's somewhere in that region, so it's just on the west coast here of Florida, pretty close to where this is expected to make landfall. And you can also see the trees swaying everywhere. The live cam is shaking. So yeah, extreme rainfall, and obviously as well as the extreme storm surge that we're currently seeing here. It's obviously catastrophic what we're seeing on this island, but it's unbelievable what we're seeing here. And obviously the hope is that everybody has evacuated from this area, but there's always somebody that doesn't. So that's what we're looking at as of right now there, again, out of the Sanibel Island, if I'm saying the name right. So, and you can see also, by the way, look at the orange little, you can see actually the wind, and now it's whipping right now about the left side of your screen. So again, gives you an idea of what's happening. Power lines at the top right of your screen as well. That's also indicating what we're looking at in terms of, you know, how windy it is right now. I'm not sure what the exact wind gust is right now, but it's probably above, I would say 60 or 70 miles per hour, maybe even a little bit higher than that. So again, extreme winds as well here along the coastline. And this is again back to the live radar feed to give you an idea of what's happening as of right now. And this is a look at the eye wall, which is about to make landfall, or it's about to impact really Cape Coral here pretty soon. The eye wall has already moved over the area, the Sanibel Island area, which is where I was just showing you the flooding and the storm surge that's been ongoing in that location. So that's what we're looking at as of right now there. So insane what we're seeing right now currently in Florida. And also, it might become a Category 5, so that's what we're basically at this point. All right, let me back over to here. Let's go to the infrared imagery. And let's turn this on. And let's go back over to this view. And let's do this. There we go. So this is a look at the hurricane as of right now. Again, it's about an hour or two from making landfall near Cape Coral as of right now. So let me go over to our live chat. I haven't really looked at it yet, so let's go over to that. Hope everybody's doing well, by the way. Again, this is a pretty extreme situation that we're seeing right now in Florida. Thank you to Deborah for the $5 super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It has not gone to a category 5 yet. It's very close. It's like 1 mile per hour off. All right, we have another live cam, I think. We have another live cam. This is another live cam. I already showed it once, but this is, again, the flooding that we're seeing. It's hard to see. It's pretty blurry, but on the right side of your screen is a stop sign. Again, that's what we're looking at in terms of the flooding right now. Again, over near East Gulf North. I'm not sure where this is, but it's somewhere, again, over in the Sanibel Island area. Apparently, 277,000 people are without power as well. So that's, again, what we're looking at right now in terms of the storm surge that's currently ongoing, again, on the west coast of Florida. So very dangerous stuff that's right now ongoing there. I'm pretty sure Reed Timmer's actually in the eye wall right now, too. So that's currently a Category 4 hurricane. Sustained winds at 155 miles per hour. Again, it very well could get to a Category 5 hurricane. It only needs 1 more mile per hour, basically. It's not far from it. So it's definitely not out of the question that we do get to that Category 5 stage here before it makes landfall. It's definitely not out of the question. Yeah, it's pretty incredible what we're seeing here. Also, the wind gusts, you can see how they've fluctuated over the last few hours. Port Charlotte, it looks like peaked at a wind gust of around 63 recently. Again, that's going to increase as this eye wall gets closer. Naples, it looks like they've been kind of stuck at 61. That hasn't updated, but Venice is starting to increase on their wind gusts as well. So we're seeing pretty extreme wind gusts right now moving inland, but definitely an extreme situation we're seeing here in Florida. And again, it's probably going to be a Category 3 hurricane by later today. And it's when it goes inland, excuse me, it's probably going to still be a Category 3 hurricane, so just east of Sarasota. Eventually going towards Orlando, it could very well still be a potentially still a Category 1 hurricane well inland. So that's a big concern right now, would be back up in central Florida. We could still see some fairly significant impacts from this hurricane as it continues to, again, move off to the northeast. So definitely a very dangerous situation right now that we're looking at here across Florida. Yeah, Sanibel is going to probably be all underwater. I mean, that's basically what it looks like right now. Yeah, this hurricane's just insane. Let me go back over to here. We'll see if we have any other views coming in here. By the way, tornado potential today will be on the East Coast. We'll be covering that as well. That will be really beginning up within the next few hours. There are hurricane warnings in effect now, by the way, for the East Coast. That does include Daytona Beach, back through about central Florida. It might go through Cape Canaveral area, so that's also new. We do have hurricane warnings that are in effect back up that direction. So another big update there with the hurricane warnings, which is pretty big news there as well. Again, flash flooding is going to be a big concern as well over the next 24 hours. There will likely be a lot of rainfall up in central Florida. 15 to 20 inches of rain will be possible in spots. So we're going to be having to watch that pretty closely. And this is a look, by the way, back over at, we'll go back to the live cam feed. And this is, again, back over in Cape Coral right now, which is not far away from this eye of the storm. And again, we're seeing a lot of wind. You can, again, clearly see how windy it is right now. And it is whipping. And that's, again, probably at least 70 mile per hour wind gusts, I would say. Maybe a little bit higher than that. And we are, again, pretty close, though, to landfall with this hurricane. Near, again, it looks like it's about to make landfall somewhere there near the Sanibel Island area, or potentially even in Cape Coral. So it seems like one of the two scenarios is likely to happen. Let's go back over to this cam. The camera will still be at the bottom right of your screen, but you can see where the eye of the storm is right now. It's, again, about to make landfall near Cape Coral or somewhere in that region. It is starting to, it looks like, turn a little bit more off to this direction. Probably going to make landfall here somewhere between about probably in the Charlotte Harbor region. So again, if you're in this area, just make sure you're staying safe if you're still here. But obviously, honestly, you should have evacuated if you're anywhere along the west coast here near Cape Coral, because this is obviously an extreme hurricane that we're looking at right now that is probably, again, going to make landfall as potentially a Category 5 hurricane. So definitely not something you want to see. Also, the outer bands are still fairly strong. You can see more storm activities just blown up on the west side of the eye wall. So, and eye wall is now moving inland. We're actually probably going to see this eye make landfall here probably within the next, I would say, 30 minutes. Let's go over to the distance here from the Sanibel Island area. It's about 15 miles. but it very well may get there within the next hour or so, maybe even the next 30 minutes. So really anywhere here potentially could see this eye wall the eye of the storm very soon. So that'll be very interesting to see there over near Cape Coral. And again, there is an extreme wind warning in effect for Cape Coral. It's a bit of a rarity. It only happens with these sort of major hurricanes that we see. Again, winds 115 miles per hour or greater are expected in Cape Coral, anywhere along that west coast there, south of Port Charlotte. That's where we're expecting the worst of the winds out of this, again, hurricane as it moves off to the northeast inland. So definitely a very dangerous situation that we're looking at here. We also have the satellite imagery, by the way, if you're curious on that. This is the satellite imagery of the hurricane. A little bit more of a wide look at it, but again, the eye of the storm is moving in there to Cape Coral here pretty soon. All the outer bands as well here along the east coast. Just look at the live radar feed as well. So you can just see it's moving closer and closer right now to, again, West Florida, going toward Cape Coral right now. Got a lot of these outer bands as well. This will be the tornado potential this afternoon, will be these outer bands going into here, the East Coast. Again, the greatest tornado potential today, which is obviously not the biggest concern for the West Coast, but it is for the East Coast. If you're on the East Coast, tornado potential will be the greatest from about Daytona Beach back through about Port St. Lucie. Is that like range there that we have of the potential for a few tornadoes, which maybe even one or two may be strong. So we're looking at the potential for a tornado outbreak again today, somewhat like what we saw yesterday in South Florida. We very well may see that back up in central and southern Florida as well today. Again, tornado watch goes up until 5 p.m. today, so it's a elongated tornado watch at this point across Florida. Back to the live cam as of right now, and again, this is a look at Cape Coral. Winds are gusting. We'll be keeping a close eye on this live cam as this gets closer to landfall here, and again, southwest Florida near Cape Coral. Back over to, we'll stay on this live cam, or stay on this camera for here for a second so I can look at chat again. Yeah, better way to do this, but there we go. How you doing, Thai? Welcome back. How you doing, Scott? Welcome back. How's it going? Thanks, Angel. I appreciate it. Stay safe, Matthew. Stay safe. Yeah, right now it's a Category 4 hurricane. If you're just tuning in, sustained winds are up to 155 miles per hour. Again, last night it was at like 120 when we were live last night. So it's increased by 25 miles per hour, and it's only 1 mile per hour away from being a Category 5 hurricane. Again, that could happen before this makes landfall here near Cape Coral or Port Charlotte. So again, extreme and catastrophic impacts are expected here to the West Coast. Again, as this continues to move off to the northeast, it's likely to make landfall somewhere there near Cape Coral and Port Charlotte. Move inland, still made as a major hurricane, even a few hundred, probably at least about 20 to 30 miles inland. It'll still probably be at least Category 3 force winds near the eye, and eventually going closer to Orlando, it'll probably be at least still a strong tropical storm. If not, it could still be a Category 1 hurricane. So we're still talking about hurricane-like impacts there to central Florida as well. And obviously the extreme flooding is going to be a big concern as well. But this is, again, a wide view of the hurricane as of right now. And we're already beginning to see a lot of the heavier rain bands moving into areas in central Florida. Obviously, more of that will come as this basically northern side of the hurricane moves inland. We're already going to probably start to see some pretty extreme flooding there just north of Cape Coral. Back near Sarasota looks like an area that we have to watch closely for some extreme flooding as well within the next, within at least a short term. Long term, it's going to be more of central Florida, which in terms of long term, it's really just about another 10 hours or so until that starts to make big impacts along the Interstate 4 stretch, which seems to be the greatest potential for some extreme flooding back up that direction. All right, I'm back over to here. Back over to the live camera. Again, we've been kind of watching this live cam a little bit. Let's go back over to this screen. Again, that's the look of the live cam. Winds are picking up again in Cape Coral as of right now. And again, storm surge is going to be coming up into a play here as well in Cape Coral. And again, there's an extreme wind warning for Cape Coral. That's why we're watching this location pretty closely. This area is going to probably see very high wind gusts as this moves inland. Again, wind gusts could get up as high as 190 miles per hour. So that is really the big concern as of right now, is that the wind gusts could be fairly extreme here near areas like Cape Coral. And even potentially a little bit further north. We do have a new tornado warning, actually, that was just issued, by the way. Let's go and hop over to that. We do have a tornado warning that was issued. It's going to be including a few areas. Let's go to the high-def radar. But make sure you seek shelter immediately away from windows and lowest floor possible. This tornado warning was issued for areas west of Lake Placid. So that will be going towards Zolfo Springs, as well as Wachula, if I'm saying those names right. So make sure you're seeking shelter immediately, away from windows and lowest floor possible if you're in this area. And this is a brand new tornado warning that's been issued. This is also another potential that we see this afternoon with a tornado potential here in portions of Florida. For some reason, my radar is glitching out, so we'll have to give it a second to fix here. But look at the storm. Try to zoom in a little bit more here. But again, it's moving up to the northwest as of right now, going towards Zolfo Springs. I'm not seeing a whole lot of rotation, at least on my end, because it's probably just glitched out. But I would assume the rotation right now is just located south of 66 right now, somewhere in that area there. And they'll be moving off to the northwest here over the next little while. So again, make sure you're seeking shelter if you're in Zolfo Springs, going off to the northwest. Again, this is currently centered in about pretty much like central southern Florida, that sort of region right now. Again, going to be moving off to the northwest. So some of these, again, bands of showers and storms will have these brief spin-ups that I'll have to watch very closely as they move off to the north. Let me go and double check here on radar scope. I'll see if I have a better look at it on here. Yeah, so there's a little pocket in here that has some rotation. So it's basically located right about here. Is where our rotation is. And again, that will be moving off to the northwest, west of Lake Placid as of right now, going towards Highway 66, and eventually towards Highway 17 will be in the track of this potential tornado warning. So just make sure you're seeking shelter if you're in those areas. Again, that's a brand new tornado warning. Tornado threat is definitely possible today. So we're going to be watching that pretty closely as that continues to, again, unfold here across Florida. I'm going to go back to the low def radar since it's already loaded in. Back over to here. Not really low def, it's just a little bit less high def, I would say. But that's a look at the, again, over right now, currently across Florida. Again, the eye of the storm is about to make landfall just west of Cape Coral, most likely within the next hour or two. So be monitoring that very closely for when it makes landfall. At the bottom right of your screen is a live camera right now out of Cape Coral, which we're seeing extreme winds already beginning there. And that will, again, continue here over the next several hours as that continues to, again, move inland here across southwest Florida. So we have that ongoing as of right now. I'm going to see if I can pull up another live cam to give you an idea of what's happening from the storm surge perspective there just along the west coast. I just realized it's on the wrong screen. Let's go back over to here. Initially, we'll stay on this for now. I'll stay on that, and then we'll go back over to the live cam once I got one pulled up here. Seems like we're starting to lose a lot of the live cams, though, on Sanibel Beach right now. And we have one, but it also just went out. So we're losing a lot of the live cams right now, unfortunately. I'm trying to see if we got anything, though, that we can show you. We had one earlier at the beginning of this live stream showing some pretty substantial storm surge, but I do not think that's operational anymore. I think that one is, at this point, probably lost connection. A lot of the ones right now on Sanibel Island are currently losing connection, which is all due to the fact, again, of just power outages and whatnot here across the island there. Yeah, I'm not seeing the one that we had before. Again, look at Cape Coral right now. We're still seeing some fairly extreme winds right now. Again, wind gusts are picking up. We have power lines, again, across the live cam that we have, so that's obviously not good. But it looks like all the live cams that I originally had from the storm surge, it looks like that's all currently out. So we'll be able to look at those. But back over to the screen for now. Some extreme storm surge, though. A 6-foot storm surge measure? Really? 6-foot storm surge. That's crazy. Thank you, Lori, by the way, for the $20 super chat. I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Get your support. All right, so I'm trying to look at chat from my phone. I'm currently have the live cam on my other monitor, so I'm kind of trying to go back and forth here. But do I think he'll make landfall as a Category 5? It's going to be very close. If it isn't, it's going to be a very strong Category 4 upon landfall. I mean, this is like on the cusp. I mean, it's literally like 1 mile per hour off, so it's not that far from being a Category 5 hurricane. So really, it's not far at all. We very well could see it as a Category 5, though, along landfall. Yeah, storm surge is expected to be up to 18 feet here along the west coast near Cape Coral and Port Charlotte. So we are definitely going to be looking at some very high storm surge. All right, cool. Glad to see you survived the tornado last night. There you go. Yes, I survived. Thank you. Oh, that was last night, Virginia. Somebody gifted last night. Sun is out in Vero Beach. Is it really? It's sunny over on Vero Beach. It's the calm before the storm. I mean, the outer bands aren't nearly... If you look at the East Coast right now, the outer bands are not nearly as, crazy right now. I mean, we're just seeing some showers right now more than anything. We'll see more development here over the next couple of hours. Again, a tornado threat will increase across this area, and honestly, the sun being out is probably not a good thing because that could obviously increase the tornado potential here on the East Coast. So that's definitely gonna be something to monitor too. But yeah, we're definitely going to probably see here along the East Coast a little bit of an uptick in the tornado potential here over the next couple of hours. That's at least what's forecasted by the Storm Prediction Center right now across the East Coast. So tornado threat's definitely going to be increasing there. Yes, this is the latest cone from the National Hurricane Center. It's actually on my screen right now. This is the latest cone, so you can see, again, going up through Florida. This is, again, a cone of uncertainty. It's most likely going to make landfall between Sarasota and Cape Coral. It's probably going to make landfall near Cape Coral, maybe just west of there. And that's eventually going to go through basically central Florida. And then from there, it'll go back into the Atlantic Ocean, make landfall in South Carolina as potentially a tropical storm or a potential low-end Category 1 hurricane, and then eventually make impacts up that direction. And here's the why. This is like the long term here. So eventually it'll go into areas like the Carolinas over, a little while there. So we're currently looking at in terms of the Hurricane Ian. Which again is a Category 4 hurricane. Sustained winds at 155 miles per hour. Wind gusts, by the way, are currently at 190 miles per hour off the coast. Pretty extreme what we're seeing there still. All right, let's go back over to, I'm going to see if we have any other live cams coming in. Again, we haven't had a whole lot of luck with other live cams. This has been the main one at the bottom right. We had a couple of live cams before. The only problem was they literally lost power. I mean, we literally don't have any live cams anymore in Sanibel Island. That was the area that we had storm surge and whatnot coming out of. So unfortunately, we've kind of lost those live cams and giving you an idea of what's happening there. But I'll see if we can find another live cam there on Sanibel Island, because that was an area that was getting absolutely pounded with storm surge. And obviously what we're seeing here in Cape Coral right now is some pretty substantial winds right now. And not just that, we're also, we're going to probably start to see some storm surge as well there pretty soon as well, I would assume. That's, again, kind of a little bit in like a bay or something like that. So storm surge may not be nearly as bad, but we very well could see water start to go over that fence and whatnot. So that'll be an area to watch here over the next little while. And we are seeing hurricane force winds right now on Sanibel Island, by the way. We actually have a live cam right now. This is live. Let's go back over to here. This is a live cam on Sanibel Island. It is a very shaky camera. This is live. I mean, this, again, live camera here on Sanibel Island, just west of Cape Coral. We are seeing some extreme winds, signs shaking. We got trees shaking. The live camera is obviously shaking. The sign here that you can see is actually shaking a lot more. So, again, currently on Sanibel Island, we are seeing some hurricane force winds most likely right now with the eye wall that's currently moving inland. So this is basically what we're going to see with the peak. I'm also seeing some branches and stuff like that flying all over the place. So we're seeing some pretty extreme winds as well right now on Sanibel Island. Again, it's west of Cape Coral. So that's obviously another sight to see there. Let's back over to the Cape Coral live cam. See if we can find any other live cams here. Had some storm surge ones, but I'm pretty sure those are completely out now. Yeah. We do not have the storm surge ones. It looks like the storm surge got too high. So if you were here at the beginning, we were looking at some extreme storm surge there in Sanibel Island. We were looking at actually some pretty substantial storm surge that was showing, like almost up to the mailbox at one place, and another place was up to the street sign. So we saw that originally. Now that looks like we've kind of at least lost those cameras. So those are obviously out because of the extreme rain and whatnot. Let's go back over to here, and let me go back over to here. See if I have any other updates here. All right, tornado warning is still ongoing for DeSoto County, Hardee County, and Highlands County, Florida. That's the one that you're seeing at the very end here. It's back up here. Again, it's a pretty rural area, but it'll be going towards Zolfo Springs, if you're curious. We do have an extreme wind warning ongoing for Cape Coral, and again, near Port Charlotte, just south of there. Extreme wind warning basically means we're going to be seeing 115 mile per hour winds or greater here over the next little while. So that's what we're looking at there as of right now. Live cam's back, by the way. There you go. So that's a look at the live cam as of right now there in Florida. And that's currently in Cape Coral at the bottom right of your screen. Hey, stay safe, Katie. Stay safe. Carolina is definitely gonna, South Carolina is definitely going to see some impacts from this. And there's definitely a potential we could see upwards of at least tropical storm force winds, maybe even a little bit of some hurricane force winds. So there's definitely a possibility for that. And we'll have to watch that pretty closely. But definitely not gonna be a good sight to see there in South Carolina either. And I'll be live, by the way. I'll probably be covering when it makes landfall in South Carolina too. So I'll be doing this one. I don't, this will not be a full like 12-hour live stream, by the way. I'll have another one probably beginning around 4 o'clock or so, because I do have a meeting at 3. So just kind of an FYI there. But see what happens. Barring any power outages, by the way, because I'm in Florida, so hopefully we don't have any power outages. But D-Land's main concern right now is going to be flooding. Rain potentially up to 20 inches could occur up that direction. The current forecasted range is 15 to 20 inches of rain for D-Land, Orlando, back through Daytona Beach. So that entire area is currently in that potential for some extreme rainfall as well. Again, bottom right of your screen, we're looking at Cape Coral. We're watching Cape Coral very closely. Water is beginning to get very high there. We very well could start to begin to see that water go over that fence here pretty soon. So we are watching that live cam very closely right now in Cape Coral, watching anything that may happen there in terms of the storm surge. Again, Cape Coral, where this live cam is basically centered right about here. We're in that extreme wind warning. The eye wall has not really yet to make, it's kind of starting to impact there near Sanibel. This is the area, by the way, having the extreme storm surge was in here. So we are already seeing extreme flooding and whatnot along the islands there, along the coast. Now, back near Cape Coral is where we're currently watching for that potential for some storm surge as well going into the next few hours. So we'll have to watch that closely. And again, we're already beginning to see at least a lot of wind in Cape Coral. This is from the Quidel Lock, if I'm saying the name right. So that's what we're looking at as of right now at the bottom right of your screen. All right, let me go see if we have any other. We'll go back over to this real quick. I'm going to continue to search for more live cams. So we're going to go back over to here. And we'll do a little searching journey here and see if we can find anything else for live cams in these areas. But current one that we're looking at again is in Cape Coral. It is basically, it's not again far. It's pretty close again to you know, an area that we will probably see a lot of storm surge. We're currently forecasted to see between 8 to 12 feet of storm surge here in this area in Cape Coral. So we will probably begin to see this water start to rise and potentially go over the fence there as well. That's a big concern right now. Here at Cape Coral. Yesterday, by the way, the water was moving, going actually the other direction. So you can see at the left side of your screen, the water's, I'm not sure what the directions are here, but it was moving, right now it's moving up on your screen. Yesterday it was actually moving down. So there's a little difference there, something to kind of note. We have a couple of live cams from somewhere up in a bit further north in Florida. It's back near Tampa, but I'm not sure if we're seeing anything there right now. But this is like a Tampa. I'll go ahead and show you guys this. And this is like north of Tampa. It's in Tarpon Springs, if anybody's familiar with that area. So this is a look at Tarpon Springs as of right now. And yeah, we're seeing, again, looking at the right side of your screen is more than anything what we're looking at. Not a whole lot of anything going on here. A lot of, you can see the tropical storm force winds though. You can see the trees shaking. But other than that, it's not nearly as bad of weather in Tarpon Springs in comparison to what we are seeing right now in Cape Coral, for example. It's a lot more windy there. And we're also seeing the potential for storm surge and whatnot in that direction. So, and again, storm surge will start to increase here over the next little while here on the west coast of Florida. Actually, I have an idea. So we actually do have some other live cams. Let me go over to those. I just kind of forgot about a few of them. We got a few near, actually. We have one in Tampa. So we'll go ahead and give a look at the one in Tampa first. And Tampa's bridge. Do you guys know, for those that are in Florida, there's a bridge in Tampa that's pretty long. Like, it's near, like, Sierra and whatnot, or Sia, going towards, I believe, St. Petersburg. So it's like that St. Petersburg bridge. We have a live cam there. Let's go ahead and go over to that one. Let's do this, and let's go over to this live cam. So this is another live cam that we have coming out of Tampa Bay. This is this screen. And again, we have a little black bar on the left, but this is a look at right now, and it is really windy actually right now. And you can see the waves that are crashing right now near this bridge. So there's some pretty extreme waves. Obviously, we're going to possibly see some storm surge up here as well, but not just that, it is extremely windy here. This is on I-275, and we're looking northwest right now, so we can just see, again, the waves are ripping right now there near the bridge. It looks like nobody's traveling on it, which would be probably, you know, very smart here, but yeah, that's pretty dangerous what we're seeing there in Tampa right now, so we're watching that area pretty closely as well. I'm going to see if we have any cams closer to... we actually have a few further south. I'm going to see if we have anything on those. This is a decent... This is another camera that we have. This is actually pretty interesting. Let's go over to this one. We're already seeing some debris in the roadways. This is a little video, so it's 24 seconds long, so I'll go ahead and show you guys. So let's just start from the beginning. So this is a look at the tree swaying. Obviously, we're seeing some tropical storm force winds at least. A lot of debris on the roadways. Looking the other way, the traffic lights are swaying. A lot of rain on the roadways as well. This is a Gulf Stream at sunset, by the way. So yeah, we have some tropical storm force winds or so in this area. This is actually this is live. So this is what was just happening. The camera just shifted there, but yeah, this is currently live. We're not seeing anything else. So there you go. Let's go back over to here. Oops, wrong screen. Let's go to that. See if we have any other cameras back near Sanibel Island, though. That was the area that we're looking at for some pretty substantial impacts today. It's already happening, by the way. Starting to see some pretty substantial impacts near Cape Coral. Again, the eye wall is going to be moving inland here in the next several minutes, so we're watching that as well. We do have one from Charlotte Harbor, but that's kind of far inland. We don't have anything too close to the water otherwise. But we'll be watching the live cams again closely. Let's go back over to this, and we'll put the live cam actually at the bottom right of your screen. So if you want to take a look again, that's out of Cape Coral. We'll be watching that live cam closely. This is back to the live radar feed near Cape Coral. And again, we're going to see this eye of the storm move inland, most likely within the next hour or two, somewhere near Cape Coral. That's currently the forecast as of right now, going towards potentially Port Charlotte. So we're going to see some, again, pretty substantial impacts here along the west coast. And wind gusts as of right now, I'm going to see if we can get an update on the METAR data. I am not sure if we're going to see any update on the METAR data, though. Let's go to the most recent update. And yeah, we don't have any updates on the airports, which are showing like the wind gusts and whatnot. We're not seeing an update there. So I'm going to take that off the screen for now. But we are going to see, again, pretty extreme winds there for areas near Cape Coral. Again, there is an extreme wind warning currently in effect for the potential for 115 mile per hour winds or greater. And if you're just tuning in, this is a Category 4 hurricane with sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. That is 20, or it's actually it's 35 miles per hour higher than yesterday. Yesterday was a Category 4 or a Category 3 hurricane with sustained winds at 120 when we were live last night. So it's rapidly intensified here just southwest of Florida. It could make landfall as a Category 5. So you could be witnessing history right now with this hurricane as it moves inland, again, going towards Port Charlotte. And again, we'll probably see the landfall here at some point within the next hour, I would say, or two, as this again continues to move off to the north. Take off the live radar feed for a second. We'll turn it back on so it updates. Yeah, there you go. So another look at it. Again, we do have a tornado warning. Just a quick update for those that are currently in Zolfo Springs. That area is currently under a tornado warning. That's near Highway 17. Again, rotation was somewhat there, so there might be a tornado potential there. But overall, we're going to be watching that closely. But that's what we're looking at there as of right now. We're going to go back over to the live cam again. So this is, again, back over to the live cam in Cape Corals. We're watching this area closely. Again, we could very well see some storm surge here pretty soon in the Cape Coral area. Look at the trash can, by the way. There's a trash can there in the center portion of your screen. It's starting to blow away, it looks like. It was moving there for a second at the very beginning. It might start blowing away again. We'll watch the trash can. I guess that's going to be our entertainment here. But that's what we're looking at there in terms of the trash can, which was actually just blowing away there for a second. Watching, again, a lot of wind out there, and you can see, again, what we're looking at here, you can see the two black lines over your screen. Those are probably power wires, I'm assuming. So, and there's the trash can. It's starting to move again. It looks like it's trying to go the other direction against the fence. Oh, there it goes rolling again. So, trash can just wants to go in the ocean, it looks like. So, that's what we're looking at, though, again, currently in Cape Coral. Again, that's going to be, this is, let me go back over to the live radar here. Go over to this scene. Again, the camera will be at the bottom right of your screen, but this is the live radar feed again from Cape Coral. The eye wall is basically moving inland right now into Cape Coral. So that eye wall is very, very close to this live cam that we have here out of Cape Coral. Again, this is really where we're seeing the strongest bands of rain and wind, really currently moving closer. Again, Sanibel Island was seeing extreme storm surge already, and the live cams that we're looking at the beginning of this live stream was showing that we were seeing extreme storm surge above, almost up to mailbox height. So we were seeing some pretty crazy stuff there. Unfortunately, those are no longer available. They have, at least at this point, lost power. But Cape Coral, as of right now, is a different story. This is getting very close to that Cape Coral region, especially near the coastline. And that's, again, what we're looking at there on the live cam. So a lot of crazy stuff right now happening. All right. Back over to the live chat. I haven't been really looking at chat, by the way. I've been looking at a lot of the live cam and stuff. Yeah, Sanibel Island is basically underwater at this point. And again, if you're not familiar with this part of Florida, that is right here. Let me circle it. So it's basically right here. That's where we're seeing extreme storm surge and whatnot. It's just off the coast, basically, of Cape Coral, and the eye wall is currently going through there too. So yeah, that entire island right now is underwater, and it is a pretty substantial what we're seeing there. Again, we were looking at flooding above, like basically up to street sign height and stuff. So it was pretty crazy what we're seeing there in the Sanibel Island region. So appears to be slightly shifting north. I don't know. I honestly think it's gonna be close to wherever it goes. It is starting. It looks like it is actually a little bit. So we'll have to watch that. Let's go back to the infrared imagery, and let's go and put that on the screen. So this is a look at the hurricane. Again, that's your eye there. Has gone a smidge to the north. We'll see. It might do a little bit of wobbling here, but we'll see what happens. With that being in mind, it actually could make landfall a little bit further north, maybe toward Venice. It's not out of the question. So, again, as this continues, again, the cone of uncertainty is actually still pretty large. I mean, it goes from, I believe, up closer to, let's figure out where the further, yeah, Sarasota is like the furthest north the cone of uncertainty is. So it could technically go that far north. And again, it would be in between Sarasota and Cape Coral at this point. Seems like Cape Coral may get dodged by the eye, but they're going to get hit probably by at least the eye wall. So Fort Myers is 59 miles per hour. I know they were pretty high today in terms of wind speeds and whatnot. Yeah, there's major storm surge right now out there. A lot of storm surge. I'm just seeing a lot of the photos and stuff, but this is the last image that we're able to see before the live cam went out. This is what we're looking at in Sanibel Island. So for those that are curious and you weren't here at the beginning of the stream, that is what we're looking at there in Sanibel Island, was some pretty substantial flooding from the storm surge and whatnot there. And again, the street sign is right here on the right side of your screen. So that's kind of give you a comparison to what we're looking at here in terms of just the overall essence of what's happening there on that island. It is, again, very substantial storm surge and catastrophic without a doubt there on the Sanibel Island region. That was the latest live cam feed that we had there. Between Venice and Port Charlotte, that's definitely possible. Definitely possible. Might go that far north. I'll have to wait and see. Yeah, then tornado warning is still ongoing up here. Again, for those that are up near Wauchula, make sure you're seeking shelter. So again, tornado warning that's still ongoing. Otherwise, extreme wind warning is ongoing in Cape Coral. Again, that is life-threatening. Make sure, again, if you're in Cape Coral still, just make sure you're staying away from windows and make sure you are, again, staying in the interior room as well. Basically treat it as if it's a tornado warning if you're still there in Cape Coral, because we're definitely looking at some very extreme winds here along the west coast of Florida, again, near Cape Coral right now. Let's go back over to the live radar feed. So back to this look, and let's go back over to the live cam as well. Again, back to a look. At the bottom right of your screen is the live look at the live cam. We'll go back to the actual full cam here in a second, but we're looking at there. Again, this can make landfall probably within the next hour or two. And hurricane warning, by the way, if you're tuning in and you're on the East Coast, from Daytona Beach back through Palm Bay, those areas are now under hurricane warning. So that region there, it might go as far north as maybe like Flagler area. But that's the region right now that we have an ongoing, basically, region there of a hurricane warning. That was issued with the latest advisory at 11 a.m. So for those that are along that area, there's now officially a hurricane warning in effect there. All right, and here's back a look at Cape Coral right now. And again, the trash can is moving still on the right side of your screen. We've been kind of watching that. That's really the one movement that we have here. We obviously have the power lines across the screen there. And on the left side, the wind's really picking up now, but on the left side of your screen, you can see the tree swaying and the water, obviously, at the bottom right that's flowing in right now. We are starting to get pretty close to this going over the fences. So we're going to watch this live cam very closely. One thing to get into here, we do have a new warning. Let's go to this. This is a pretty big warning again. Let's go over to the live radar. We have a brand new extreme wind warning, which again it's basically treated as if it's a tornado warning. A new extreme wind warning has been in effect. Let's go to this live cam. That's going to include Englewood, Rotonda, as well as areas just southwest of Port Charlotte. So make sure, again, you are staying away from windows. Treat it as if it is a tornado warning if you are there in areas like Englewood and Rotonda. And that's again in the Port Charlotte. That's basically in the Charlotte Harbor region there. So that's the area that we're going to eventually see the potential for some extreme winds. So that's what we're looking at there as of right now. And again, the eye wall as of right now is moving off to the north and northeast. So it might make landfall a little bit further north than Cape Coral. We'll have to wait and see. But it's going to be very close regardless. So we're seeing extreme winds regardless up and down the coast here. And the further north it goes, I mean, honestly, the worse impact it's going to make, especially to this west coast here. From the Sanibel Island area that's already seeing some extreme storm surge all the way back up through here near Port Charlotte. So that's our most recent update there. And this is back over to the live cam view. So we're watching this pretty closely. Water's getting very high there in the Cape Coral Bay. Ian is about to make landfall, most likely in the next hour or two. And the live cam is currently in Cape Coral is what we're looking at right now. This camera, I'm pretty sure is pointing. I'm pretty sure it's pointing south. Let me double check though. If it actually says this side of Cape Coral, I'm pretty sure it's pointing south because the wind is going. It's either south or west, or yeah. Let me double check. Pretty sure it's looking south. We actually have a couple of live cams, by the way. I'll go to the other one that we have. This is another one that we have, actually. This is even a crazier one. Let's go over to this one. This is also in the same area. That is another live cam. Looking at a much better view of this now, out of Cape Coral. And the wind is insane there as well. This is going to be a much better live cam to show. This is in the Chiquita Lock as well, the other one. Yeah, it does not say which direction it's facing, but I'm pretty sure that's south. So that's what it shows on the map here. Oh no, it's actually it's west, I think. Yeah, that's west. Okay, it's looking west, just for a heads up. This one is looking east. We have another one. The other one was looking west, so that's the direction here. So that one's looking inland. The other one was looking out to sea, basically. So that's just for reference. So yeah, there you go. So that's the confirmation there. Yeah, that is pretty incredible what we're seeing there right now in Cape Coral. A lot of wind and whatnot. Trees are swaying there on the right side of your screen as well. Ian is currently at Category 4. It is 1 mile per hour from a Category 5 hurricane right now. It's a storm at max velocity. Oh, let's not use that joke. This is a very serious situation. The hope is that, you know, I mean, there's really no hope anymore. It's going to make significant impacts. Really the big thing was with this hurricane going into it. Let's go back over to this camera. The big hope with this hurricane was that this would end up going towards the panhandle. Because if that happened, there's a lot of shear up here, and it would have weakened a lot quicker. We had the absolute worst case scenario though with this hurricane. It's basically taking a very similar path to what Charlie did, and Charlie was a Category 4 hurricane upon landfall, very close to a Category 5 as well. Actually, so believe it or not, Ian is actually now a stronger hurricane than what Charlie was, and it's by 5 miles per hour. It rapidly intensified overnight, so it's pretty substantial what we've been seeing out of, you know, Hurricane Ian and what impacts it's going to make here. Going into Port Charlotte as well as Cape Coral and anywhere here along the coast, and everywhere else in Florida, guys, is going to be impacted in some way or another. There's going to be other significant impacts. It's not just this area, because we're going to see extreme flooding, most likely in a large area in here. We're going to see a lot of flooding in this region. Not everyone will, but a lot of people will most likely in this region, anywhere from Daytona Beach back through Sarasota. There's a tornado potential today. We're going to have a potential another tornado outbreak later today. So there's just a lot of stuff that's going to be happening today, and it's going to be catastrophic. For a lot of areas. And it's not going to be just today. We're going to be live again tomorrow. Again, today's live stream, this specific live stream, I'm planning on having go until 3 p.m. and then I'm going to have another one from about 5 p.m. up until like midnight or 1 a.m. I'm going to do a lot of live streaming today, so we'll be live for a lot of it. But tonight we'll be live more than anything for the tornado outbreak, and as well as any other impacts that are ongoing. So we'll be live for that as well. But there's going to be a lot of live coverage today. I plan on another stream tomorrow. I plan on another stream going into Friday and Saturday. I plan on streams basically every day and through Sunday. So, and if you're not already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. But We're going to be keeping you updated with the latest and everything. Let's go back to the live cam, and let's go back to that, because this is pretty substantial what we're seeing again over at Cape Coral right now. And again, looking, that camera right now is looking west, so you can see the winds are blowing in the face of this camera. We have another live cam looking east, or excuse me, we have another live cam looking west out to sea. This one's looking east. Yes, this hurricane is currently at sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. I sure am, JCP. I sure am. Yeah, storm surge is currently forecasted to get upwards of 18 feet in this area, by the way. This is an area that we could see storm surge as high as 18 feet. If you've not already heard, the storm surge is actually, the forecast has been increased by a pretty substantial amount. So we're definitely going to see some pretty substantial storm surge as well. You're in Cape Coral and you still have power. That's a miracle if you're in Cape Coral and you still have power. That is pretty incredible. Stay safe. Cape Coral is going to be hit pretty hard. It's a Category 4 hurricane. It's 1 mile per hour off from a Category 5 hurricane currently. Yes, Elizabeth, I already did. Stay safe, Joseph. I know there's been some flooding on the East Coast already. I heard that actually recently. Let's go back over to the map. We'll go live cams at the bottom right of your screen. But looking, I'm pretty sure there's been some flash flooding in this region. So in like the Jupiter area, back through the East Coast. I've heard a little bit of some flash flooding there, at least on some streets. Some street flooding already. But obviously that's not going to be the worst of it. The East Coast probably won't see that much of impact from rain. More than anything, the substantial extreme flooding will be back up here along the Interstate 4 stretch in Central Florida. So what we're expecting as of right now. Again, this is the current look at the hurricane. Let's go back over to here. Put it back in a loop. And here's a look at currently Hurricane Ian moving off to the north-northeast. Again, it's going to make landfall somewhere near Cape Coral, Port Charlotte, or as far north as Sarasota here over the next little while. So that's what we're currently monitoring. And again, the live cam at the bottom right kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking at out there, at least in Cape Coral, which Cape Coral has not been the worst hit at this point. It's been Sanibel Island, which is just west of there. Sanibel Island is completely flooded over. The entire island is flooded. So at least so far, Cape Coral has not been entirely flooded yet. But the water is getting very close to rising over. Let's actually go back to the other live cam, and that will give us a little bit better of an idea of what we're looking at there in terms of the water. And this is this is looking west, by the way. The other cam was looking east. We're in the same spot here in Cape Coral at the Chiquita Lock. And that's another look at it. So you can see the water all moving out right now to the west. Storm surge will become a big concern here over the next couple of hours as well. And also the trash can that you can see there at like the right side of your screen has also been kind of moving around a lot. So we'll be kind of watching that for a reference on the wind speeds and stuff. But on the left side of your screen, that's all the trees. So this is back over to the other live cam looking west. And the one looking, this is the one looking east. The one looking east has been by far showing a lot more because it's obviously the waves are coming into the camera right now. And also, you can see all the trees on the left side of your screen, by the way. The palm trees are absolutely swaying everywhere right now. Looks like they might even fall over there. So watch the left side of your screen there. That's pretty extreme winds right now. Crazy stuff right now currently ongoing here along the west coast. We're watching that live cam pretty closely as well. Hey, stay safe, Tina. By the way, if you're just tuning in, friendly reminder, make sure to hit the like button down below, because again, that gets this coverage out to more people. So make sure to do that. Yeah, we'll keep you updated with the latest on everything that you need to know. But again, this is currently looking at the Chiquita Locks in Cape Coral. This is again looking out to the ocean, by the way. So just a little bit of a perspective here. You can again see at the bottom of your screen, the water is getting kind of close to actually going over those fences, and it's getting very close. It's been close for a while, but it's still rising a little bit. So despite the water kind of going out right now, we very well could see the potential for some of that water to go over the fence here pretty shortly. And this is an area, by the way, that's currently under an extreme wind warning. So extreme wind warning currently goes until, pretty sure, about 12 or 1 o'clock, I mean. It's until 12:45. Ian is currently Category 4 still, sustained winds at 155 miles per hour. It could get up to a Category 5 hurricane before landfall. But again, that's kind of to be determined at this point. Yeah, this is a live look right now. Bottom right of your screen will be the live cam still, but this is a live look currently at the hurricane. Back over to that camera, so it'll be on that one, but Lakeland will probably see at least the rain impacts from it. There could be some extreme flooding up that direction as well. Definitely a possibility. Let me go back over to the METAR data. We'll take a look at the wind speeds and whatnot. Wind gusts haven't updated on the METAR data, so we're probably upwards of 70 miles per hour, at least in Port Charlotte. Cape Coral's probably in that same boat as well. East Coast, by the way, East Coast is starting to see some tropical storm force winds as well. Even Miami, by the way, Miami's up to 45 mile per hour winds. So we are actually seeing some tropical storm force winds there on the East Coast. Just a little heads up there. Again, looking at currently Hurricane Ian, again, it's a Category 4 hurricane. It's near a Category 5 hurricane. Again, it could make landfall as a Category 5 as it moves towards, again, it's just west of Sanibel Island. That's where the eye of the storm is. And this is an area, again, that's completely flooded over right now. This entire island here, that's just west of the live cam, by the way, at the bottom right. That is the area that we've seen a extreme amount of flooding from the storm surge. The storm surge has actually gone to like mailbox height. We no longer have any live cam feeds because they've officially lost power there, so we can't see that anymore, but... That's pretty incredible what we're seeing here. Wind has been crazy as well. This is the other live cam, by the way. So again, that's looking out to the ocean at the bottom right of your screen. Go full cam here. We'll be watching this area primarily, and actually at the left side of your screen, you can see the trees still swaying there, but this will be the area to watch very closely because the eye wall is not far right now from Cape Coral. I mean, the eye wall is just about, 10 miles probably to the west right now of Cape Coral, so... That's where we're going to see the most extreme winds, the most extreme storm surge, all that sort of stuff is going to happen with the eye wall there. Yeah, I mean, the storm surge forecast has gone up substantially since a couple of days ago. I mean, Sanibel and Cape Coral, Fort Myers, all those areas now up to 18 feet of storm surge. Only a couple of days ago, I'm pretty sure it was at the highest, it was at least, I think it was like up to 8 feet or 6 feet or something. So it's basically doubled and tripled there. And that's why, you gotta be careful, especially if you're on the coastline, because things can change like that. And yeah, it's very dangerous what we're seeing again here along the west coast of Florida. How the track just continued to shift further down to the south and east, that really has cut people like less time to be able to evacuate. And by the way, look at the bottom of your screen on that live cam. Again, the water is very close to going over. So we are watching that closely. But the water is getting very close to going over that fence. This is the other camera view. Again, that's looking off to the east in this bay. Yes, catastrophic storm surge is expected in this area where we're looking right now. As catastrophic storm surge is expected, and that could get upwards of potentially 18 feet. We are looking at some pretty substantial storm surge that's going to be expected in this area in Cape Coral. All right, back over to here. Go over to this. And I'm going to go back over to this as well. Take off the live cam here for a second. Is that a parking lot? I don't actually know. Let me take a look again. I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure. No, that's not a parking lot. No. Pretty sure what that is like this is where a lock is or whatnot. So this is called the Chiquita lock. If I'm saying the name right. I'm pretty sure that's not a parking lot. Be a pretty dangerous parking lot if it was one. That's at the bottom of your screen. Somebody can double check that. I don't 100% know, but I don't think it is. Yeah, 18 feet of storm surge is pretty absurd, and that's again what's possible here along the west coast, up and down this region here. Again, from potentially as even far north of Sarasota, we could see that potential. This is the storm surge forecast, by the way. Let's go back over to here. I'm not on the right screen. Let's go back over to this. This is the current storm surge forecast. We're currently possibly going to see as high as 18 feet of storm surge there from Bonita Beach back through Englewood. So we're going to see some pretty substantial storm surge here in the Charlotte Harbor area. So Yeah, I mean, we're going to probably see some pretty substantial storm surge and whatnot, and that's obviously a big concern here on the west coast of Florida. Now, back through middle of Longboat Key to Englewood, it's 6 to 10 feet, so that's like the Sarasota region right now. But, yeah, the storm surge is definitely going to be pretty absurd. Actually, this is the latest update. It did update a little bit, but that's the latest update. Not a whole lot of changes in the latest update, but 8 to 12 feet is possible just south of Bonita Beach as well. So we're still looking at pretty substantial storm surge. And rainfall totals, by the way, I didn't actually show this on the stream yet, but rainfall totals, this is a possibility that we do see in Central Florida. So if you're, again, in Central Florida, anywhere in Florida in general, there could be some pretty substantial rainfall as well. This is the current forecast in terms of the GFS model on rainfall. So we could very well see some pretty potentially catastrophic flooding as well. This is the latest model run as well, so a little bit more updated, but still upwards of 2 feet of rain is not out of the question across Central Florida. And this is the European model as well. Gives you another idea of what the rainfall totals could be. Again, there's a sliver here of rain that's probably going to end up happening. That could be as high as 2 feet as well. Back to Orlando, Daytona Beach, it's a little bit of a better scenario, but we very well could still see over a foot of rain. So, and this is the HRR model as well. This is a bit more specific. So, yeah, you give an idea here that the rainfall totals will be highest basically on the Interstate 4 stretch at this point. Is what's forecasted. So, currently looking at in terms of the potential threats. Back over to the live radar feed. And hurricane is pretty close to making landfall there. Probably going to make landfall somewhere west of Cape Coral. Currently expected. Thank you, Martha, for subscribing. I appreciate it. Power outages are expected. Power outages are very well expected, especially across areas like Cape Coral, Port Charlotte, Venice. All these areas are probably going to see power outages here along the west coast of Florida. That's pretty much a given at this point. With how much wind we're going to be seeing, the storm surge, the flooding, all that stuff combined, it's going to create the potential for sure seeing some power outages here along the west coast. Living in Florida is not a horrible thing. I mean, just the hurricanes is one of the worst things about living on anywhere. And like, honestly, Florida's not the only state. I mean, if you live anywhere in the Gulf Coast, it's not really the best place to live because, you know, you could potentially see these hurricanes and whatnot. It's very rare that you'll ever go 100 years without seeing some sort of big impacts from a hurricane or tropical storm along the Gulf Coast. So, honestly, you know, that sort of thing. I mean, you're along the coastline, especially. If you're a little bit inland, it's not typically as bad. But can see some pretty substantial impacts if you're a little bit further closer, at least closer to the coastline. It's typically where we see a lot more substantial impacts. Storm surge, by the way, is really picking up right now in Fort Myers, by the way. We are beginning to see some major storm surge in Fort Myers. So that's beginning now in Fort Myers now. Beginning to see some storm surge there. Yeah, catastrophic wind gusts are expected here. The eye wall, by the way, is starting to move inland here. So this is the area, Sanibel Island, where we're seeing extreme winds already and extreme storm surge. That is going to continue to uptick here as this continues to move off into the inland, basically. It's going to be moving inland here probably in the next hour or two. But other than that, again, the eye wall is where all the winds are coming from, really. A lot of the, at least category, like 3 to 4 force winds are in that area. So right there near the coastline, we very well could be seeing that potential for very extreme winds right now moving inland. I'm moving to Cape Coral and whatnot. Debate about how Florida is a good state to live in or if it's a vacation spot. Naples, Florida, also seeing some pretty substantial storm surge as well, by the way. At least along the coastline there. They're starting to see some storm surge. This is pretty insane what we're seeing. Again, this is insane. Yeah, it's a Category 4 hurricane. It very well could get to a Category 5, though, once it makes landfall. All right, let me see if we have any other stuff coming in here. Back over to the live cam. We haven't taken a look at that for a while. Let's go back over to here. Oh, they have gone down. Live cams have both, at this point, lost power. We no longer have the live cam, unfortunately, in Cape Coral. So, that is the last picture that we'll see from Cape Coral. Cape Coral, at least in this area, has officially lost power. That also goes for this one as well. That was our last images until the power went out in Cape Coral. So, there you go. That is the Cape Coral live cam, and it is completely down, unfortunately. But we will be continuing to look and see if we have any other live cams. I'll be actually searching right now. Let's go look through it real quick. I think we have a few other ones, but those are officially down, it looks like. We do have a few others. We have a couple near... I know we have a few near Cape Coral, but they're pretty much a little bit further inland. But we do have some back up in Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay ones were pretty interesting when we're looking at them. So, from earlier. Let me go to Tampa Bay. We got some decent cameras on the Tampa Bay area. This is actually a really good one. Let me go and show you guys this one. This is, back over to here. Full cam it. Oops. This is a look at Tampa Bay, which is currently live, by the way. So, again, this is looking northwest on Interstate 275. And, again, you can see the camera's shaking a lot. You got the waves on the right side of your screen. That's another live cam there, currently on the bridge. Looking at us right now there. That's probably what we're going to end up seeing, honestly. It looks like a lot of these cameras are probably going to go out from the power outages and whatnot. So, looks like the Cape Coral... Oh, no, actually, no, they're back. All right, they're back. Back over to... let's go to this one. So, they're actually back online. They went out there for a brief moment. At least one of them did. The other one, I'm pretty sure, is still out right now. No, it's actually back. So, they're both back. We have live cams again. So, the live cam out of the Chiquita Lock is still ongoing. Again, this is a look at it as of right now. And you can see the trees are still swaying out there. Winds have been pretty extreme as well. So, and actually, you can see now that it's starting to overflow. Look at that. The water is now officially beginning to get over that little barge there. So, it is now officially starting to get over. We are beginning to see that here in Cape Coral right now. Yeah, and Cape Coral is pretty close to that eye wall. So, water is starting to overflow. Definitely interesting. Yeah, it's just under a Category 5 hurricane by like 2 miles per hour. It's not by much. You must be in like Eastern Cape Coral if you still have power. I'm actually surprised. I think they did lose power there for a second, in some sort of facet, because they do have it back now. But I would assume that was the first one. They're probably going to lose power here in the next like 5 minutes, probably, or 10 minutes. Or at least on this live cam in Cape Coral, because again, we're starting to see the water now going over here in Cape Coral. This is looking the other direction, by the way. This is looking out to the ocean, and trees again swaying on the left side of your screen. We got some power lines, it looks like, or power wires down, at least over this camera. Looking off to the east, or excuse me, looking off to the west. I keep saying east, but it's west. This is looking west. This one's looking east again, inland in Cape Coral. And water is again beginning to now go over. So, interesting to see what happens here. As the storm made landfall, it is not yet. The hurricane's not made landfall. This is a current live look at the hurricane. Live camera will still be at the bottom right of your screen. This is a look at the hurricane. It's very close to making landfall. It looks like it's going to make landfall potentially somewhere here near Sanibel Island, potentially. If not, maybe slightly further to the north. But seems like a landfall somewhere here along that area is more likely than not. So just west of Cape Coral. This is an area to watch for potential landfall here. But again, we do have extreme wind warnings in effect here, by the way. For those that are anywhere, actually, I believe Port Charlotte, just southwest of Port Charlotte, is included in an extreme wind warning. That basically means winds upwards of 115 miles per hour or greater is expected in either of those locations. So that includes Cape Coral or just southwest of Port Charlotte. Just outside of that, again, a lot of rain. No tornado warnings as of right now. We did have one at one point recently. We will have an increasing tornado potential across this area of Florida, though, over the next few hours. So we'll have to watch that. That's going to be along the East Coast. We are now up to 80 mile per hour wind gusts, by the way, now near Port Charlotte. That's now updated here. So we're now up to 80 mile per hour wind gusts close to Port Charlotte. That's along Interstate 75. So we are beginning to see some pretty much hurricane force winds now beginning there in Port Charlotte. This live stream bearing a power outage is expected to go until 3 p.m. and then I'll do another live stream beginning at 5 p.m. That will be like that live stream is probably going to be a long coverage. We're going to do a lot of coverage during that time. So it is not a category 5 right now, what we know at least. Back over to the live cam. This is a look again at the live cam. Wind is absolutely whipping. We are seeing the eye wall beginning to make a pretty close appearance there in Cape Coral. And that is, again, the water is currently starting to go over this little wall here that we have here along the coast. So we are beginning to see some water go over. Again, you can see that at the bottom right of your screen. It is definitely starting to move a little bit over. Currently seeing that again in Cape Coral right now. We go over to the other live cam. And this is a look going out to the ocean, so looking west right now. And again, we can currently see the water, again, kind of retreating back actually out into the ocean. So that's one thing to note. Eventually, it'll probably go back inland. But again, we're going to start to see probably the... Oh, look at that. You can't even see anymore. Visibility is getting very low as well here. A lot of rain. And we do have the eye wall, again, very close, making a close appearance here in Cape Coral. This is back looking east. Again, this is looking inland, so you can see all the water and whatnot, and all the waves, and also the palm trees on the left side of your screen. They are swaying like crazy right now. Now, I would say this is probably right around 80 mile per hour winds or so, 70 to 80, maybe somewhere in that range. At least wind gusts, we're probably around 70. Maybe a little bit higher, though. Thank you, Bill, for subscribing. I appreciate it. By the way, the wind gusts are expected to get over potentially 200 miles. Or, excuse me, not 200 miles, 190 miles. So we could get up to 190 mile per hour winds out of this. Let me take a look if we have any live cams coming out of Naples. I'll take a look. Go my other monitor here. So Naples apparently is having some flooding. I haven't looked too far south yet, but... doesn't seem like we have any live cams that are that close. There's nobody on the roadways, by the way. In Naples, there's literally nobody. Not a single person. Like I'm looking right now. There's like one car on the roadway. We don't have any live cams out in Naples now. We don't have a whole lot of live cams along the coast. We have a couple, but they're not, you know, don't have a whole lot of them. A lot of them are already out of power too. The ones that we do have are starting to lose power. Yeah, we have a load of them right now that are out of power. We have another live cam. We'll take a look at this and see if it's a good one. Nope, this one's out too. Yeah, we have a lot that are near the coast that are just completely out of power at this point. Oh, that's one of the problems right now with all the live cams. This is, again, looking currently into Cape Coral, by the way, if you're just tuning in. And again, looking out to the ocean right now, the wind is whipping. The visibility is going down. Power lines, again, there's literally power wires right now across this live cam. This is looking west into the ocean. And we are beginning, again, looking to the east, inland. We're beginning to see water now coming over here. So we're probably going to be beginning to see that storm surge that we were talking about really start to kick into play here in Cape Coral. We have a very crazy... Let's go over to this live cam. We have another one. This is a different one. This one's really interesting. This is over in US 41 in Bay Acres Ave. It's shaking a lot. There's not a whole lot going on here right now, but it's just shaking a lot right now. So, but this is a little bit further off to the north where it's not seeing the greatest impacts that they'll see, but this is another area to watch closely. Again, this is the more, obviously, the live cam that we've been paying a little bit more attention to here. That was back up closer to just south of Sarasota. It was just north of Venice. That's where we were just looking. Yeah, some pretty substantial stuff again going on. We do have a cam in the Charlotte Harbor, but Charlotte Harbor is also beginning to lose a lot of visibility. Visibility in Charlotte Harbor is going down quickly. And that, again, Charlotte Harbor is the next area to be hit by this the hurricane. At least the eye wall basically would be Port Charlotte. So that area will be hit next. And by the way, look at the water going over right now. Water is definitely rising quickly right now on this area of, again, Cape Coral. Again, palm trees on the left side of your screen are swaying like crazy. Right side of your screen, all the waves right now going over the wall. We are probably going to start to see that continue to rise here over the next little while, but that is not a sight that you want to see here. And currently in Cape Coral is where we're at right now with this live cam. Again, if you're just tuning in, make sure to hit the like button if you've not already. That's the least I'll ask of you, because this gets out to more people by hitting the like button. Just make sure to do that. This is definitely crazy. This is, again, a live look at the live radar right now. And taking a look at the bottom right of your screen, that's where the live cam is. But taking a look at the actual eye of the storm, it's not far away from where this live cam is. That live cam is basically right here in Cape Coral. The eye wall is basically moving in now, so that's why we're starting to see those impacts really ramp up, and the winds will probably get close to hurricane force winds if they have not already. I know for a fact that near Port Charlotte, we're now up to hurricane force winds just coming in now, so it's most likely around hurricane force there in Cape Coral. Here's a look at one of the hurricane or the eye wall bands that are currently moving in now to areas just along the coastline. Again, Englewood will probably be in the track of this. Landfall as of right now is still projected to probably be somewhere there near Englewood or somewhere between Cape Coral and Englewood. So that's what we're currently looking at in terms of where this will probably make landfall within the next hour or two as this continues to move off to the north and northeast. Again, we do have 2 extreme wind warnings ongoing. What that means is that we're going to see 115 mile per hour winds or greater across these areas. Again, Fort Myers is actually included in this, as well as Sanibel, Cape Coral, back through Englewood are all included. Again, extreme wind warnings. We'll probably see these get a little bit more extended here soon once we have a little bit more confidence on where this makes landfall. But pretty substantial what we're seeing currently across the west coast of Florida. Again, the water is now over. It's definitely getting over right now here in Cape Coral. We're beginning to see storm surge in full effect right now, live again in Cape Coral is where we're looking right now. And this is looking east, by the way. This is not looking west out into the ocean because the water is coming in from the east. So that's what we're currently looking at here in Cape Coral. It's pretty crazy. And again, it's a Category 4 hurricane. Sustained winds that are 155 miles per hour. It was at 120 miles per hour on last night's live stream, which is at like midnight. So we have had a rapid intensification again here near the coastline. It's near a Category 5 hurricane. It's like 1 mile per hour off right now. So pretty insane. Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if it already has reached Category 5 levels. I don't know if it has, but the wind speeds may already be over that. I'm not entirely sure, though, yet. Pretty substantial, though, what we're seeing, though, right now in Cape Coral. The water just continues to rise here. This is a look, again, at the to the west. We're not seeing nearly as much off to the west here. More than anything, the east cam is looking at a lot more of that water, and it's really getting up there right now. We're watching this again live. Water is now going over here in Cape Coral. Yeah, the difference between it being a Category 4 or 5 hurricane is just a number at this point, because the difference is like 5 miles per hour. It's not going to make a major difference. I mean, at this point, this is very, very close to being a Category 5 hurricane. Again, it's only 1 or 2 miles per hour off. I wouldn't be surprised if we did get to a Category 5 level, though. The wind speeds, at least. Yeah, this is pretty incredible. And again, this area that we're looking at right now is forecasted to see upwards of potentially as much as 18 feet of storm surge. So we're already beginning to see that. Again, it's going over the wall right now, and it's continuing. You can, again, see it's starting to go even further and further in. I'll kind of make a little area here, but this is an area right here. It's now starting to go even further off here to the left, which again is indicating we're still seeing water continuing to rise here. Originally, it just started with a little crevice here at the top right of this little area, and you can almost notice now, it looks almost like it's natural, but obviously it's not. Got the fences there, so it's going over the fences. Palm trees at the top left of your screen, again, indicating a lot of wind right now, potentially upwards of 80 to 90 miles per hour. That's currently ongoing. But storm surge is definitely getting rough out here right now in Cape Coral. And for those that are wondering where we currently are, or if you're just tuning in, again, this is a live look at where we are. This is a look at the eye of the storm, Hurricane Ian, again, a Category 4 hurricane. Where we are is basically right about here in this little bay. So that's where we're at. This is a Chiquita Lock. So it's a little bit, it's like a little lock area. So again, that's just southwest of Cape Coral. And one of the eye wall bands here is right now coming in. So we'll probably end up seeing some more of the storm surge and whatnot continue as this continues to move inland. So that's what we're watching for right now. Losing cameras one by one. We lost this camera for a minute or two earlier. It very well could go out of power at any time, so we'll be on it as long as we can, but it might go out of power. This camera has probably the best view on it right now. By the way, wind gusts are expected to be upwards of 190 miles per hour upon landfall. and possibly near Sanibel Island. So we're going to be looking at some pretty extreme impacts. Yes, it could be a Category 5 at landfall. It's really close, and regardless of if it gets there, it's still going to make pretty close to Category 5-like impacts to the west coast of Florida. And again, it's only like 1 mile per hour off. It's not far from it, so it's definitely possible that we do end up seeing this get to that level. This is back over to here, by the way. Again, live cam will be at the bottom right of your screen. This is a live look at Hurricane Ian. Yeah, it's going to be making landfall here near Cape Coral here pretty soon. Moving off to the northeast as of right now. Again, it's likely to still going to be a Category 3 hurricane inland at sustained winds over 120 miles per hour. Once it gets closer to Orlando, with the eye of the storm, it will probably still be at least near a Category 1 hurricane level, if not a very strong tropical storm, and it'll eventually go into the Atlantic Ocean as a tropical storm and eventually go into the South Carolina region, make landfall again. So it's at least what's forecasted as of right now long term. Again, extreme flooding is expected along that Interstate 4 stretch. We could see upwards of 15 to 20 inches of rain in those areas. So back over to the live cam. Again, we're basically witnessing the storm surge right now here in Cape Coral, so we'll be watching this pretty closely. Yeah, this is obviously it's getting pretty high right now in this area. This is again Cape Coral right now. Hey Vicky, how you doing? Welcome back. Would take my Iowa tornado any day over this. I mean, this is hurricanes are obviously a lot worse than just a tornadoes typically. Hurricanes can do a lot more damage and a lot more widespread damage. Tornadoes are a lot more narrow typically, so. Me just tuning in if you're tuning in. That's funny. All right, let's go back over to here. Again, this is a current live look near Cape Coral. Again, the eye of the hurricane is going to make landfall most likely within the next hour. We'll most likely still be live when it makes landfall. If not, again, I have a meeting at like 3 o'clock, so I will not be able to go until past 3 o'clock, but I'll have another live stream beginning back up at like 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon, and that live stream will be all the way through the evening. So we'll be doing a pretty long live stream after this anyways. But again, this is what we're looking at is right now on the current live radar. Again, just off the coast of Port Charlotte, and as well as Cape Coral. Again, Port Charlotte is currently up to wind gusts over 80 miles per hour. We do have extreme wind warnings in effect for those in Englewood, as well as Sanibel, which Sanibel is already, the entire island in Sanibel is flooded over. Power is out across that island as well, and Cape Coral also is included in this extreme wind warning. North Fort Myers is on the cusp of that warning as well. What it means basically is that we're going to see upwards of 115 mile per hour winds or even greater. So we're looking at as right now there. Let's look at the infrared imagery as well if you're curious, as it continues to get closer to land here. Found me a few months to go at 1,000, and your streams look 10 times better. That's nice. I've been making some improvements. Been improving. 12-hour live stream tonight. We'll see. I might go for at least 8 hours, but I might go up to 12. I'll be live beginning around 5, though, is my plan. And the stream has officially gone offline again. So we're probably going to see, it looks like the power's gone out again here in this Cape Coral area. Let's hope that we get this camera back, because it is a good view, at least kind of showing you what's happening. Again, this is our last photo at this point in the Chiquita Lock. This is our other one. Again, it has at this point gone out, but we'll see if it comes back. So stay tuned. But for right now, it looks like it has at least gone out for the time being. Go back over to here. Stay on this camera for here for a second. But the cameras, again, have gone out of power. It happened once already and it came back, so see if it comes back or not. Thanks, Christian. I appreciate it. Hey, Sandra, how you doing? Welcome. All right, since we have a second and the camera's out, let me go and check Twitter and stuff like that real quick. By the way, we're currently getting an idea of observed water levels in Naples. Naples is currently up to 7.5 feet. Yeah, or 7 point. Yeah, with the tides running 6 feet above levels. This is a look at it, by the way. If you guys are curious about the graphic, give you an idea. This is look at the tides right now. This is in Naples, Florida. And Naples, Florida is also seeing some flooding right now. So that's what we're looking at there as of right now. Rip Reed Timmer. What happened to Reed Timmer? Did he lose connection? Yeah, see if we have any other photos or videos coming in. Storm surge has been very insane so far. Latest Storm Prediction Center update, by the way, for those that are curious about the tornado potential today, which some of you may, again, I'll be doing live coverage tonight on all the tornado potential, but we do have an enhanced risk of severe weather. Just a real quick breakdown of that. That does include areas in east coast of Florida. This is what it looks like right now. We have a lot of stuff overlapping here, but it goes from about Palm Coast back through about Yeehaw Junction. There's a slight risk outside of that from Fort Lauderdale all the way back through about Flagler, and then a marginal threat that goes kind of close to Jacksonville back through Miami. Again, several tornadoes are expected today, some of them which that could be strong. So we're definitely looking at a tornado potential later today at this point across, again, central Florida and really eastern Florida as well. That's our latest there. As of right now, again, live cam has not come back. It doesn't seem like the best news. I don't think we're going to get that live cam back, but we'll see. Last time it took a few minutes, but see what happens. Oh, apparently Reed Timmer abandoned his Dominator 4. Is that what happened? I'm just seeing what he said on Twitter. Apparently he's now retreated to shelter. What happened? What does anybody know what happened? I've not been watching him at all today. What was he doing? Apparently, at least on Twitter, he just said abandoned Dominator 4, Savage Science Bag, retreated to shelter. Hoping it's okay. I don't know what happened. Live power again? Oh, we got the live cam back, by the way. Let's go back to the live cam. Live cam is back for a third time. So we'll see if it lasts this time. But again, we are still seeing the storm. Again, the storm surge is now really coming into a play here in Cape Coral right now. Reed is in a beachside home. Is he still alive? He was going for the eye wall, then went into the second floor. Car was supposedly submerged. That's not good. Probably did this typical Reed Timmer thing and push the boundaries. I don't know what if he went into the eye wall, that's crazy. I don't know who I don't know where all the storm chasers are today, but that's definitely very dangerous. But you know, Reed Timmer is pretty. He's always been able to get through those sort of storms and stuff like that. Yeah, I haven't watched him today, so I don't know what happened. I literally just saw on Twitter like a minute ago. Made a rookie mistake. Like he's been doing it for like 25 years. Let me go back on Twitter real quick. Yeah, this is a live cam out of Cape Coral. We are beginning to see the eye of the hurricane get very close to that area. We're currently seeing the eye wall. Water has been slowly but surely going over this wall that we're looking at here. So hopefully Reed Timmer's safe. I don't know what really happened, but seems like what he did was went too far into the eye wall. Definitely possible. He'll be probably fine. He was yelling and then his feed went down. So is he still live? Do you guys know, or is he no longer live? I don't know if he has any still out there or whatnot. Hopefully he's safe. Let's hoping he's safe. It's dangerous chasing, and any chasing, it does not just have to be a hurricane. It can be a tornado. It can be really, it can be literally anything. Chasing is pretty dangerous. Port Charlotte's getting the eye. It's gonna be close. This is oh god, the live cam I think went out again. This stream is still outlined. Yeah, they both they both went down again. We're probably gonna have a lot of experience with having these cameras go out and whatnot. Live cam will still be at the bottom right. It's out of Cape Coral. But this is a look at the storm right now. The hurricane, again, it's currently about to make landfall probably somewhere here just southwest of Port Charlotte. Englewood is probably going to be having the main landfall or Rotunda. Seems like in that region, most likely going to have a landfall here. Wind gusts are officially above 66 miles per hour in Venice, by the way. Those are not fully updated yet, but that's what's currently ongoing here. This is a look at the live radar feed as well. So, again, extreme wind warnings currently in effect here along the west coast. Winds could exceed or already are exceeding 115 miles per hour, by the way, in those blue boxes. Reed Timmer is probably the most insane storm chaser going. I gotta say, he's one of the most daredeviling storm chasers. He has a lot of effort. Live stream ended? Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. One in the eye wall is another breed of storm chasing, really. But as a further reminder, again, once this makes landfall, that's probably when I'll end the live stream. And I'll go live again around 5 or 6 o'clock tonight. But again, I'm not sure when it's going to make landfall. It might be an hour or so. But right now, I've heard that people are saying it made an official landfall in Senegal. I'm not entirely sure if that's true yet. But it's going to eventually go towards Port Charlotte. So it's going to probably make landfall again somewhere up near Rotunda or Englewood. That's probably what's going to end up happening. If not, it might even make landfall here near Senegal. It hasn't already. So. The eye wall currently is impacting a lot of basically Cape Coral right now. So we're still monitoring the Cape Coral live cam and seeing if we can get that back. But as of right now, it again seems currently like we do not have that live cam. Again, it's at the bottom right of your screen. It is frozen right now. The water is, again, the storm surge is getting very high there. But we might see it come back for a 4th time. We'll have to wait and see. We'll be waiting to see what happens there. Let me go back over to Twitter. We'll see if there's any other updates there. Sanibel Island, by the way, is again absolutely ripped apart right now. I mean, the winds right now are at least 120 to 130 miles per hour, which again, Sanibel is located here. This is the area that we've been talking about, and extreme winds are currently ongoing there. We are seeing a lot of storm surge as well. It has been absolutely, what we're seeing at least, is catastrophic to the west coast of Florida. Again, near Sanibel, just west of Cape Coral, we're seeing unbelievable storm surge and whatnot right now there. And again, we don't have any live cams that are currently ongoing, so all of them are out of power at this point. So, but we've been seeing some very catastrophic stuff there. Live cams are still down. We are waiting to see if they do come back out of Cape Coral, but we'll see what happens. Again, Cape Coral is currently right now seeing the eye wall pretty close to it, at least in western Cape Coral. We know for that for a fact. All right, let me back over to here real quick. Take a look and see if we have any other stuff coming in. Yeah, storms are just quite remarkable what we're seeing right now. Let's zoom out real quick. Let's go to the infrared imagery. This is again, look at the eye of the storm. We'll go a little bit more angled here for a second. Look at that as right now. Again, we're waiting the live cam. If it does come back, that'd be good, but otherwise I don't think it's gonna come back. I think 3rd time was the charm, and I think it's done now. Alright, back over to here. Again, storm surge is forecast to be upwards of 18 feet near Port Charlotte. Again, this Port Charlotte harbor area is currently forecast to see upwards of 18 feet of storm surge, so we're still looking at very significant impacts overall, again, just especially to these areas near Port Charlotte Harbor, which is this harbor here, by the way. Then again, this is the area where we're starting to see the eye wall in. The eye wall, again, is already impacting areas along the west coast here near Senegal. We've already seen a lot of extreme flooding, so obviously seeing a lot of significant impacts here. This is a look at the high-def radar. I've actually not shown this for a while. This is a look at the high-def radar on the hurricane. It's currently a category 4 hurricane. We actually have a brand new tornado warning, by the way, that's been issued. Real quick, we do have a new tornado warning for those in, it doesn't seem like it's really anywhere. It's in the middle of nowhere, it seems like, but southwest of Yeehaw Junction. Brand new tornado warning. Make sure to seek shelter if you're in this area, but that's southwest of Yeehaw Junction. We do have a brand new tornado warning. We are awaiting a radar update, which seems like it's froze. Let's try to redo this here. Maybe it's down? That radar might actually be down. I'm not entirely sure. Let's go over to... Oh, there we go. So yeah, this storm currently a new tornado warning. Let's go over to the velocities. And here's a look at the rotation. So we do have a little bit of rotation there. Again, that's going to be moving off to the northwest. But again, southwest of Yeehaw Junction. So it's a pretty rural area here in Florida. But again, we do have a brand new tornado warning here going off to the northwest. And again, tornado outbreak is definitely possible this afternoon into the evening. And again, my second live stream will have a big focus around that. Which will be later tonight. But that's a look as right now, the latest tornado warning, again, southwest of Yeehaw Junction. Eye of the storm right now is getting awfully close to making landfall. If not, it's already made landfall there near Sanibel Island. Again, that new tornado warning is for Okeechobee County. Apparently it's Sanibel. It's Sanibel. Is that Sanibel? Yeehaw Junction? That's the name. Reed Timmer said his vehicle's gone. All I saw was his car. Apparently, somebody said it was submerged, which probably means it's gone. But that's all I've seen. Apparently, by the way, this tornado warning is for a population of 1, so that's what I meant by like a rural area. There's nobody here, but it is southwest of Yeehaw Junction, north of Highway 98. So if the one person is watching my stream, make sure you're seeking shelter immediately away from windows and lowest floor possible. But yeah, that's our tornado warning, north of Highway 98, southwest of Yeehaw Junction. But again, that's our only tornado warning as of right now. Again, our area that's going to be a hotspot for the potential for tornadoes today will be from Port St. Lucie back up through about Deltona. We have a pretty good chance of several tornadoes today. Again, possibility for a strong tornado as well is possible across those areas. So tornado outbreak is definitely not out of the question today. But again, it does seem like our live cam's out. So for right now, I'm just going to go back over to this stream. Stay on here for now. And here's a live look right now. Looks like it's about to make landfall, though, near Sanibel. Sanibel. Sanibel? Is it Sanibel? Sanibel. Sanibel. I don't know. We'll just go with Sanibel for now. Sanibel? Alright, cool. Sanibel. Is it Sanibel? Is it like A or is it I? Sanibel. Sanibel or Sanibel? One of the two. Apparently, by the way, latest report, this is from 12:15, so 40 minutes ago, a 100-mile-per-hour wind gust was reported at the Redfish Pass in a Mesonet site. So, latest report is 100-mile-per-hour wind gust there. Large limbs are snapping off hardwood trees. Water is covering the ground, by the way, in Pine Island as well. 97-mile-per-hour winds were reported at St. James City. Also, 170-mile-per-hour winds was reported at 27 minutes ago over in the Punta Rasa area. That's southwest of Cape Coral. 84 miles per hour was reported about 40 minutes ago as well. That's pretty close to Sanibel. So, our latest report there. Sanibel, thank you. Sanibel. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, we're definitely seeing some very high winds right now. 77-mile-per-hour wind gust was reported in Cape Coral. That was pretty close to the live cam that we had as well. So that live cam, again, is still down as of right now, unfortunately. But we'll keep you posted if it does end up coming back or not. As of right now, it does seem like that live cam is most likely going to be out for a while, I would assume. I don't currently expect it to come back, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Pretty substantial storm surge, though, that went through that area. Again, landfall is coming pretty soon. Tornado warning ongoing. We'll take a quick look at this one again. Let's see the velocities. We actually have pretty tight rotation here. Go to the correlation coefficient. Showing anything, but there may actually be a little potential for maybe a tornado to drop here at any time. That's again southwest of Yeehaw Junction and moving off to the northwest. So a little area to watch there for that ongoing tornado warning. But again, it includes a population of 1. It's not a whole lot of people included. So we'll primarily be looking at the eye of the storm still for right now. Now let's go back to a loop here. Yeah, look at the hurricane. It's about to make landfall. Looks like near Cape Coral. Fort Myers is probably not yet at the worst of what's going to happen. I think it's going to get bad. It's probably going to still be pretty bad here pretty soon. Especially with its current track, it looks like it's about to make landfall here on the Sanibel Island. And eventually go towards Cape Coral. Coral or Port Charlotte, somewhere in this area. It seems like, though, it's starting to go inland now. It's beginning to make landfall, it looks like. Orlando International Airport is officially closed. The newer terminals are designed to withstand 150-mile-per-hour winds. The older ones, not so much. Thank you for the report. So apparently not fact-checking it, but apparently there was the international airport near Orlando is closed. All right, back over here. Thank you, Mike, as well as Brooke and Real for subscribing as well. I appreciate it. From Athena. Yeah, this weather year has been pretty interesting. It's been definitely a different kind of weather year. It's been very, very much revolved around flooding for a long part of this year. But recently, it's been more of a concern with, obviously, this hurricane. And severe weather has also been pretty rampant as well. So, been definitely interesting to say the least. Okay. How is Captiva Island looking? Let me look where that is. Yeah, anywhere along this stretch, though, again, near Sanibel Island is struggling. The rain and whatnot. Yeah, that island is probably already flooded over. Captiva? That's how you say that name? Captiva is probably already flooded over storm surge and whatnot. And probably really flooded over. That is another island right along this stretch here. This entire stretch, I'm pretty sure, is just flooded over right now with the storm surge and whatnot. So there's extreme catastrophic damage happening there. The winds as well, they're rampant right now. I mean, we're talking 150-mile-per-hour winds potentially right now. And there might be wind gusts upwards of 190 really close to this landfall. So it's definitely a possibility that we're looking at here near Cape Coral. And again, it's about to make landfall probably within the next 5 to 10 minutes if it hasn't already. So we'll officially have a landfall here pretty soon. Captiva, thank you. Yeah, this is the eye of the storm, by the way. Yeah, this center here is the eye of the storm. So there won't be any rain there typically. This is a look at the infrared imagery, which shows you a bit more of an idea of what this hurricane looks like. We also have a satellite imagery. We can show that here in a second, too. Yeah, again, that's about to crash, looks like, into probably Captiva Island area. This is back over to the current satellite imagery of this hurricane. And this hurricane, by the way, is huge. Look at the satellite imagery. Look at all the clouds as well, going all up and down the coast here. Pretty incredible sight to see here. Another look at it as well. Different perspective. The near infrared imagery as well. See the big eye right here. Just to the west right now of the Sanibel Island as well as Captiva Island. And where the most significant impacts have been made is those islands there. This is a water vapor imagery as well. The water vapor is absolutely insane. Look at all the dry air back out to the west. All the moisture coming out of this hurricane right now. Pretty incredible what we're seeing. Again, the eye of the hurricane is, again, about to make landfall here pretty soon. Again, just west and southwest of Port Charlotte. Probably within the next, I would say, 30 minutes or so, it's probably going to make landfall. So, it's not far from making landfall right now. Let me see if we have those live cams back up. Now, those live cams seem to be completely gone at this point. The ones on Cape Coral, we had them for a while, but looks like they've officially lost power. Unfortunately. What are those pink numbers? Pink numbers. What are you talking about? Pink? Are you talking about the numbers that are just on the screen? Not paying, I'm assuming they're talking about these. These are wind gusts that are being estimated by the METAR stations. They've been kind of all over the place. Again, these are a little bit more inland from the main area. We actually lost a METAR station here. Looks like that one's completely down now. But the three numbers that we're seeing here are different wind gusts at different points. Again, I'm not 100% sure if they're completely accurate, but they're very close to it. So, I mean, 71 miles per hour near Venice right now, near the eye wall. Obviously, here along like Sanibel Island and whatnot are probably much higher than that. So, we're probably looking at much higher wind gusts in those areas right now. Any chance of me was more north instead of northeast? There's a chance. It's low, though. It's a pretty low chance that it moves a bit further north. I think it's going to continue to move off to the northeast inland. It'll probably end up making landfall. It's kind of in a spot where it could maybe go a little bit further north, but it seems like it's starting to turn a bit more east. I think it's going to make landfall here, somewhere near the Captiva Island region here. Seems likely at this point. All right, let's go back over to here. Just put back on the live radar here. So this, again, look at the hurricane right now. Again, very close to making landfall right now near Captiva Island area. That could be our official landfall. I mean, it could technically still go further north, but more likely than not, we're going to see a landfall there. Again, tornado warning still ongoing just southwest of Yeehaw Junction. We're watching that cell closely. Again, the tornado potential right now does exist all up and down the east coast of Florida. That's the highest potential this afternoon. So we are going to be watching that tornado threat in the next live stream, which will be starting around 5 o'clock. We'll be live here for the next probably about half an hour to an hour, covering the landfall here. All right. Oh, if you have any questions about anything that's ongoing, feel free to let me know in the chat. Any impacts and whatnot. Again, Central Florida, for those that are curious, I know a lot of people are asking about like Orlando, Daytona Beach, this entire region. It seems like we're going to probably see some pretty extreme rainfall and flooding up this direction. We could very well also see the potential for, 15 to 20 inches of rain in some of those areas with isolated amounts higher than that. So we're only beginning to see the first initial rain. We also have a lot of heavy rain bands right now moving inland up here as well. That could potentially start the flooding concerns. I know that up this direction, we've had a lot of computer models indicating higher amounts, upwards of almost 2 feet of rain. So obviously with that in mind, along with the rain that's north of the eye of the storm, that could collide to make a big flooding potential up there near the Daytona Beach area. And that's just south of Jacksonville. So there could be some pretty substantial flooding down up that direction as well. Same thing with Tampa. We could also see some flooding issues there. It seems like, though, the flooding path will probably be here across Interstate 4, basically, that stretch from Sarasota all the way back up to Daytona Beach. It's like that stretch that will probably see the most substantial flooding over the next several days. Some of it could even be catastrophic. So definitely have that potential over the next several days with this as this hurricane continues to move off to the northeast. They didn't actually cancel the warning. It just naturally expired. I'm surprised that actually they didn't issue a new one, but yeah, there's still an extreme wind warning up here for just southwest of Port Charlotte in Englewood. There was originally 2 extreme wind warnings, but one of them has at this point ended. It just expired though. It wasn't canceled or anything. I think it ended at 12:45, so that was about 20 minutes ago. Expected wind speeds for Sarasota. Sarasota will probably get upwards of hurricane force winds. Somewhere between 70 to 90 would probably be the peak. Can't rule out a little bit higher than that, but right now, actually, Sarasota is around 67. So Sarasota is currently seeing some pretty decent wind speeds right now. Currently a Category 4. It could potentially become a Category 5. See if we have anything else coming on Twitter. It seems like Reed Timmer's fine, by the way, because he edited a video and posted it, so I'm pretty sure he's okay. For those that are wondering, I don't know if he's live again, but apparently his car got completely submerged or something. Hopefully everything's okay there. Hurricane is very close, though, to making landfall. This is, again, the latest. When we pause the screen here, that is very close, again, to making landfall there near Captiva Beach. or Captiva Island, excuse me, and also near Sanibel Island. So very close. We'll see if it does end up making landfall. Otherwise, again, a lot of heavy rain bands on the northern end of this. We're seeing hurricane force winds ongoing in this eye wall right now. And again, currently near Englewood, we're probably upwards of 100 miles per hour potentially right now. Again, the extreme wind warning goes until 2 p.m. this afternoon, which means that we're seeing the potential of ongoing 115 mile per hour winds or greater in Englewood. And that's also just southwest of Port Charlotte. Most recent wind gust estimate was 67 miles per hour over in the Port Charlotte area near the Port Charlotte Harbor. So that's the latest update that we have there. And I don't know if the live cams have come back yet. We'll take a look. No, they haven't. So it seems like our live cams at this point are definitely done on the West Coast. We did originally have some in Cape Coral, but they are definitely not probably going to come back. It seems like the power's gone out there in Cape Coral. I know we had somebody from Cape Coral that was in the live stream saying they still had power. I don't think they have power either anymore. So that's kind of at this point. They called a official power outage there in Cape Coral. And power outage map, actually, I'll take a look real quick. Let's take a look and see what the Florida power outage map is. And yeah, currently looking at the power outage map, 300,000 people are now without power. Collier County has the most with 53,000 people without power. Lee County has 77,500 people without power. Charlotte County, which is currently up here near Port Charlotte, has about 10,000 without power. So Cape Coral, that area, almost like it's at least 20 to 30% of the county without power. So obviously that's why we don't have those live cams anymore. Back up a little bit further to the north, Sarasota County, about 40,000 without power. Manatee County, around 30,000 without power. Hillsborough County, even further north, is about 20,000 without power. Pinellas County is around 21,000 without power. Hardy County is pretty much around 5% without power, and DeSoto County is right around about 1,150 people without power right now. And again, primarily on the West Coast is where we're seeing a lot of power outages. And the most substantial county that we've seen the most power outages in is actually in Collier County. So, kind of for reference, again, we're currently talking about upwards of 260,000 people that are being tracked there. 54,000 are without power right now. So some substantial power outages again along the West Coast here of Florida. Fort Myers is nuts. I've heard Fort Myers is having a lot of storm surge right now as well. It's also really windy there. By the way, we have a new report on the Naples Grand Isle Beach Resort. A wind gust of 112 miles per hour has been confirmed there. The latest update there. Yeah, apparently that's what we've heard, at least in the latest report, is that there is 112 mile per hour wind gust near Naples. So yeah, we're still seeing some very high wind gusts. The most recent ones that we had near Sanibel Island, as well as the Captiva Island, those two areas were upwards of 110 miles per hour in terms of wind gusts. So we've seen some pretty substantial wind gusts in those areas. But by the way, the tornado warning is still ongoing. I believe it's going to be expiring here in a few minutes, but there is still a tornado warning back up southwest of Yeehaw Junction. Expires in 4 minutes. Does not seem like it'll be extended, but tornado potential again will increase this afternoon into the evening. So we'll be watching that closely. All right. Are there any functioning cameras slightly inland? There's not a whole lot. The only cameras that I have any view on are not really showing much. Let me, I'll take a look again. Let's look and see if we have anything coming in there. Yeah, it seemed like most of the cameras were either going out. This is one. I mean, I can show this one. This is of Port Charlotte. I'll go ahead and show this one. This is live over in Port Charlotte right now. Again, a lot of wind right now. This is on the bay. Let's go to a bit more zoom. This is a bit better. So this is on I-75, Interstate 75 right now. You can see the wind whipping right now. A lot of rain, obviously, on the camera. It's been raining a lot. Obviously, it's a hurricane. But you can see, again, kind of the waves out there. It's very hard to see. It's kind of dim there. But more than anything, there's a lot of wind. It's whipping. Tropical storm force winds right now at the bare minimum. Again, this is a little bit further inland. It's not too far inland. It's in like the Charlotte Harbor area. So we could very well see some storm surge over here too. It looks like a lot of water on the roadways as well, beginning to kind of accumulate there. But other than that, again, trees are more than anything just swaying right now here in the Port Charlotte Harbor region right now. This is just one camera view. Let's see if we have any others, but like the main one. I'm gonna do this real quick. Over to this. Oh, we'll go to this one. Sorry, I keep changing the scene. There we go. So I'll stay on this one. I'm gonna see if we have any other cameras though, and we'll see if we can find anything else. We have a few others, but that's probably the main one that we have. It's again in the Charlotte Harbor area. Now, unfortunately, up and down the coast, most of the cameras along the coastline are out of power, so we're probably not going to have a whole lot of anything to see, at least near the coastline. A lot of those are going out. Yeah, there's definitely... The thing was, actually, we did have live cams on the island. Actually, I'm curious to see if we still have any, because I know we had live cams in Sanibel Island originally, but they have all, I think, gone out of power. I'm going to double check, though, and see if any have come back. There was extreme storm surge on that island, and I'm pretty sure that entire island is without power now, but we'll take a look. It does seem like all of that island has gone out of power. Yeah, we actually have, it looks like no live cams anymore. We originally had a couple about an hour ago. We had like all of them 2 hours ago. So yeah, the entire island, it looks like, of Sanibel and as well as Captiva are probably out of power at this point. So fortunately, that is what we're seeing right now over there. Thank you, Super, for the $5 super chat. Appreciate it. Hernando County. Let me figure out where that is first. Up near Spring Hill. Main concerns for you will be basically the potential for flooding exists. You may have, the main concern is going to be extreme flooding, so you could potentially see upwards of 5 to 10 inches of rain, maybe a little bit more isolated in spots up that direction. Otherwise, tropical storm force winds possible. It should stay primarily to your south, but you might feel that effect a little bit. But that's the main concern right now. It's going to be the rainfall threat, and maybe a little bit of storm surge if you're right along the coastline there. Thank you, Cosmic, for the $2 super chat. Could the eye travel up the entire coast? Probably not. It won't do that. It will most likely go inland. So this is the current track of this hurricane. So long term, it's most likely going to go and crash back into South Carolina. From there, does it go back out to sea like this, or does it continue off to the north towards New England? That's a question mark. We'll kind of know more as we get there. But yeah, this is the current cone of uncertainty, which is a big difference from yesterday. I mean, it was much larger. So we are starting to see a little bit more of a defined track of where this hurricane will end up going. Tornado warning, by the way, for southwest of Yeehaw Junction has officially expired. Little heads up there. House that Reed took refuge in is basically underwater. Is he live? He's still live, or is he not live? I thought he wasn't live. I don't see anything on Twitter. I know on Twitter he mentioned that he ended up retreating and taking shelter. Currently approaching a 7-foot storm surge nearly at the tidal gauge in Naples, by the way. So an update. We do have near Naples up to 7 feet of storm surge now in that area. That's where it seems like it's getting up to. It very well could go as high as 8 to 9 feet. We're looking at it right now. Hey, Kenny, how you doing? Welcome back. Or KD, how's it going? Winds in Tampa will probably not peak any. I mean, the peak will probably be somewhere around 70. So probably near hurricane force winds. He's not. Yeah, I didn't think he was live, but somebody mentioned that his house was, I think, flooded. Sanibel Island, by the way, the most recent wind gust report was 84 miles per hour. But again, we've had reports over 100 already, so I'm pretty sure that's a little bit delayed. But at this point, we've had a couple of reports. I think the highest we've seen was 107, which is pretty close to that area. Again, the eye is pretty much right there right now. So it's about to make landfall, it looks like, on that Sanibel Island and potentially near Captiva Island as well. Lakeland, main concern probably would be, potential for or tropical storm force winds and maybe a little bit of flooding. That's the main concern right now there as well. Yeah, main concern really in terms of flooding will be across this area, all up and down here. Again, the central Florida region from Tampa back through Port Orange. Other than that, just outside there, again, we could see the potential for a few tornadoes. The tornado potential today really primarily exists here along the East Coast. So that would primarily be from Port Orange back through Port St. Lucie. It could go as far south as Miami, but I would expect the greatest tornado potential this afternoon and into the evening to be along the East Coast there. In terms of, hurricane force winds and all that, that will primarily be here near landfall. So it could go as far north as maybe Tampa, but I would expect the greatest threat for that to be here near the West Coast, near Sarasota through Cape Coral. And then tropical storm force winds will probably be felt almost all across all the peninsula of Florida. So what I'm expecting as of right now in terms of that threat. And then long term, it's going to go back into the Atlantic Ocean. I'll have a live coverage when it makes landfall in South Carolina as well. I'm planning on being live basically every day through this, so it happens. Thank you, Lovely, for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. Hey, I hope your son stays safe on Cape Coral. It's definitely a very dangerous place to be. Hope you stay safe, though. Yeah, the live cams have been, at least at this point, completely out, so. Yeah. Unfortunately, it looks to be like we're probably going to not have any live cams out of Cape Coral anymore, but Cape Coral obviously had a lot of storm surge coming in the last hour or so, and it's most likely knocked out a lot of power now, so. All right. New Hurricane Hunter plan in the eye now? Is there another Hurricane Hunter going in? They typically go in around this time too. I mean, the 2 p.m. advisory is actually coming out in 40 minutes, so I'll have an update on what the wind speeds are if there's any update to that. Because again, it's a Category 4 hurricane. Sustained winds are barely off from a Category 5. So, thanks TW, I appreciate it. Palm Bay, Florida will probably have the more concerning feature of flooding. But that should probably stay to your north. I would say right now, for at least today, it's gonna be more of a tornado threat, but you may see some tropical storm force winds, maybe even up to hurricane force winds. I know up back near Daytona Beach and like that East Coast region from like Cape Canaveral back out to the north, I know that there is now a potential for hurricane force winds, because there's a hurricane warning now up that coastline now, so that has been upgraded recently. Yeah, I don't know what the new update will bring. I mean, maybe just a little updated forecast. I don't know if they'll upgrade the hurricane to a Cat 5. I don't think that will. I don't know. It's going to be close. It's been very close this entire time. Again, the latest update that we had was the pressure was at 937 millibars. The winds was at 154. So it's only 2 miles per hour off from being a Category 5 hurricane. So the odds of it actually being a Category 5 hurricane is quite high with how close it is, and it's still not on inland yet. So. Thanks, Rita. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. I haven't honestly, this is the only event I've actually looked at in the last like 5 days. There's like nothing else going on in the United States right now. I don't even know what's going to happen with the jet stream next week because I've just been so focused on the Hurricane Ian landfall. It's typically I cover a lot more severe weather on live streams. This is actually my first ever hurricane coverage on YouTube. So, well, technically a few days ago was, but it seems like, honestly, severe weather-wise, we're not going to probably see a whole lot in the United States next week, other than this. So this will be the big playmaker, basically, in terms of severe weather and in terms of a tornado threat as well, going over the next several days. So not just to Florida, but also into the Carolinas. There's going to be a pretty decent chance of a few tornadoes as well, back up in eastern North and South Carolina. As of right now, there is that potential going into today's Wednesday. So Friday will be a chance for a tornado threat up and down that coastline in South Carolina and North Carolina, and then eventually going to next week. It's hard to predict what will happen, but Saturday may have another tornado potential as well on the East Coast. See what happens though. It has not been upgraded to a Cat 5. It is still a Category 5, or Category 4, excuse me. But again, we'll see what happens. The 2 p.m. advisory comes out in 35 minutes or so. So we'll have an idea if it actually did get to a Category 5 or not by then. It's very close. It's very close. Regardless, 1 mile per hour, 2 mile per hour difference is not a big difference at all. I mean, this is still bringing catastrophic impacts, regardless of it being 2 miles per hour greater or not. So we're still going to see some pretty significant impacts here to the west coast of Florida. Thank you, Thompson, for subscribing. I appreciate it. Thank you. Actually, we do have a hurricane hunter right now in there. Let's see what the winds are right now. We don't have yet a actual, we're getting the hurricane hunters in there right now. Actually, interestingly enough, in the eye, it's at 6 miles per hour for wind speeds. So, gives you an idea of what the wind speeds are from the eye to the actual eye wall. The eye wall is where all the winds typically are. So, yeah, again, the eye of the storm right now is at 6 miles per hour. Outside of there, again, we've had wind gusts as high as, 110 to 115 miles per hour now. But yeah, these purple dots indicate the hurricane hunter. So let's see what happens. Thank you, Many, for the $10 super chat as well. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. Get your support. Appreciate all the super chats and whatnot. A lot. Thank you. Yeah, again, once this makes landfall, and I'll probably end this live stream at the 2 p.m. advisory, and then I'll have another live stream beginning around 5 o'clock or so tonight. That way I can take a break, because I'll probably do an 8 to 10 hour live stream tonight. That's my plan right now. On the tornado coverage and all that sort of stuff. So we plan on a longer live stream later tonight. But once this makes landfall, or we get the 2 p.m. advisory, one of the two, I will live stream that. So I do have a meeting at 3 o'clock or something. So. By the way, just something kind of keep in mind. I haven't really mentioned this a whole lot from a scientific detail standpoint, but the peak storm surge has not actually happened yet. For those that are along the East Coast here, like Cape Coral, for example, we have not actually reached peak storm surge. Because the winds and all the rain and whatnot, all the storm surge is really on this back end. So once this hurricane makes landfall, and when it gets past there, we're going to begin to see the worst of the storm surge happen then. So again, this is the eye wall, and a really most significant part of the eye wall is still on the west side. This will all kind of filter into these harbors and whatnot on the bay. So eventually, if this eye goes up here, let's say the eye is right here, like over Port Charlotte, all of that water and whatnot, all the storm surge is going to go into these bays, into Cape Coral, into Port Charlotte. Even in Port Charlotte, for example, we'll have storm surge going into there. That's why, for example, when we were looking at the Cape Coral live cam earlier, we weren't seeing the way the water was actually going out to sea. What we're going to see though in the next couple of hours is that's going to change directions, and eventually the worst of the storm surge will eventually go inland towards areas like Cape Coral and whatnot. So that's the big concern as of right now, long term. And again, that's why we could see the potential for upwards of 18 feet of storm surge in those bays in Cape Coral and Port Charlotte. That's again the current forecast right now. Very well likely could see that potential. So we're not even at its peak yet. That's really the general idea of what we're really at right now, but officially not hit the peak of this at all. All right, let me back over to Twitter real quick. We'll see if we have any other updates. Also, the high tide also is at the late afternoon, so high tide is playing a big part of this as well. It's later today, sometime during the late afternoon across the west coast here, so from Naples area back through Fort Myers into Port Charlotte and whatnot. This is an area where we haven't even hit high tide as well, so that's why we're still not at peak storm surge. Worst of it will be sometime later this afternoon, sometime around high tide. Thank you, Life. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Cape Canaveral, main concern up that direction will probably just be rain. There's not going to be much beyond that. Maybe tropical storm force winds, a little bit of storm surge along the coast, but storm surge will not be as significant as it is over here, for sure. I know the storm surge on the East Coast will be between 1 to 3 feet in that region, most likely, so. Looking at us right now. Yeah, it's pretty close to making landfall if it has not already. It is basically on the cusp. But yeah, it's going to make landfall between Captiva Beach and Sanibel Beach. That's currently the area where it's going to most likely make landfall, somewhere in here. The eye is basically now crossing over to there. Let's actually go to the infrared imagery. Let's look at the infrared. So pause it here. So yeah, the eye is basically making landfall somewhere along this stretch here. And again, it actually could go as far north as Englewood, but it seems like wherever that main area of pressure is, which they're currently investigating, that's where, again, it's going to probably end up making landfall. Seems like it's going to be somewhere along this coastline here. This is a look at the hurricane as of right now in infrared imagery. Unfortunately, the one couple of live cams that we had are currently out of power, so. Sanibel Island video showing sustained winds of 130 plus miles per hour. That's definitely possible. I mean, with what it is right now, again, it's a Category 4 hurricane, sustained winds at 155. It very well could be as high as 130, even possibly higher than that on Sanibel Island as well as Captiva Island. Those two islands seem to have the highest wind speeds right now as this eye is about to make landfall here along the west coast of Florida. So. I don't have any video feed coming out of either island right now. Both of them, the live cams that we did have, are out of absolute, they're just out of power, so. Unfortunately, we don't have any live cams right now coming out of those areas. Hey, Keith, how you doing? Welcome back. When do you think the storm will get weaker? It's going to end up getting weaker as it goes inland, but obviously it's still going to be a Category 3 hurricane. As of right now, it's forecast to be that high. Probably through areas back up, maybe even through, east of Sarasota, so the Wauchula area, and then eventually going through even Kissimmee, Florida, for example. It probably will still end up being a Category 1 hurricane or a very strong tropical storm through those areas, and eventually when it goes out to sea back into the Atlantic Ocean, it will probably re-strengthen over here to at least a strong tropical storm, if not a Category 1 hurricane. So that's the big concern as of right now over that direction. We'll have to wait and see what happens long term. So look at the infrared imagery again. The eye of the storm is very close to making landfall right now. Friend in Sarasota just lost power. There are a lot of power outages. We're up to 316,000 people without power. Only about 20 minutes ago, we were at like 270,000. So power outages just keep going up right now across Florida. Has Reed ever posted any other updates other than he was, got out of his vehicle or whatever? I haven't seen anything new. People are saying like he's swimming or something. Haven't seen anything new on that situation. I know that he had to, get to shelter, but lowest pressure on the first pass through is 934 millibars. Yeah, that's pretty much on the cusp, at least, of being a Category 5 hurricane. It very well could be a Category 5, if that information's true. Because even going down 3 millibars is pretty much at that point of Category 5 levels. It's very, very close. See the latest on their latest pass through. I'll see the update. Yeah, it's close. I mean, their latest pass through, it's kind of close to like 145 miles per hour still. 145, 150 mile per hour range. We'll have to wait and see. But it is extremely close to a Category 5 hurricane. Very, very close. It was already close to begin with, too. Thank you, Ranch, by the way, for the $2 super chat. Appreciate it. Thank you. Hey, Six, how you doing? Welcome back. Yes, it's currently at 155 miles per hour. It's like 154 or 155. I think the official wind speed was 154 miles per hour, though, if I'm not mistaken. At least as of right now, that's what it is. We have an update on the Hurricane Hunters here. Let's see if there's any updates on the winds. 139, 128. Yeah, so it's still in that kind of range of somewhere around. It's still a Category 4, but it could be close to a Category 5. But as of right now, I'm still seeing wind speeds peaking around 140 to 145. So yeah, it's very close to making landfall here. currently moving inland over the next several minutes. And also, we have a photo coming out of Fort Myers of the storm surge. This is a look at the storm surge, Fort Myers. Oh, yeah. Again, Fort Myers getting pounded. And this is not going to be the worst of it, by the way. We'll probably see more storm surge than this. I've already kind of said it before, but the back end of this hurricane and the high tide is later today. So we'll see the worst of the storm surge after this makes landfall. That's when it's going to get the worst. When it basically a few hours after it makes landfall, we'll see much worse storm surge there along the west coast, again near Fort Myers and whatnot. So we'll see the substantial storm surge there. Hopefully Reed stays safe. It's definitely a dangerous situation. I haven't seen that unless he replied to something. Let me double check here. Yeah, I don't see where he said that, but hopefully he's safe though, regardless of whether that's true or not. Definitely dangerous what happened though. I mean, he was in the eye wall, and it's obviously we're still not at the worst of this hurricane. Those areas. Yeah, so the backside here is gonna be the strongest in terms of storm surge. Like this west side and the south and west side are gonna have the worst impacts from storm surge. So we have that circulation, and all the water back over in like Port Charlotte, for example, was going out to sea initially. It's now all gonna start after it makes landfall. It's gonna all eventually start to filter into those harbors and bays, and that's all gonna create that storm surge potential upwards of 18 feet. That's the big concern. Again, we're not at the peak of storm surge. We've seen a lot of photos and videos coming of the storm surge, but we're still not at the peak along this coastline. So it's definitely gonna be a dangerous situation over the next several hours there along the west coast. Again, 18-mile-per-hour winds currently in the eye of the storm. It's kind of crazy to see the difference in the eye, because again, if you go like, you know, for example, the hurricane hunters are pretty close to this. This is at 1:22 p.m. It's 139 miles per hour at the surface in the eye wall. If you go further inland into the eye of the storm, it's only like 10 to 15 miles per hour. It's such a crazy difference. And that was at 1:18, so like 4 minutes later on the hurricane hunters here. That's pretty crazy. They're currently flying in right now, getting some information. About the first source flooded? I have no clue. I don't have a clue. Again, this is the storm surge in Fort Myers. So Fort Myers has been seeing some pretty substantial storm surge there. This is a look. Actually, I can't post it, but I'll retweet it on Twitter. There's a look at a lot of damage there at Fort Myers Beach. Retweet it on Twitter if you want to take a look. I'll put the link in chat. Some pretty substantial damage over there in the Fort Myers area, which Fort Myers was seeing a lot more. Fort Myers is already seeing storm surge, but they're seeing a lot of damage as well along the coast. Definitely dangerous what we're seeing there as well. Yeah, next advisory comes out in 23 minutes, so we'll wait for that, and we'll see if it ends up becoming a Category 5. After that, if it does not, or really regardless, I'm going to end the live stream at 2:15, 2:10, somewhere in that range after the advisory, and I'll go live again later today at 5 o'clock. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, again, friendly reminder, hit the subscribe button down below. Again, I'll be doing full coverage on Hurricane Ian again later today, beginning sometime around 5 or 6 o'clock tonight, so stay tuned. Next advisory comes out in about 20 minutes. We'll see if it gets to a Category 5 hurricane or not. Philip, typically the most inactive states in terms of weather are typically like the West Coast. They don't typically have a whole lot. They have flooding sometimes and whatnot, or not flooding. Like they sometimes have like fires and stuff like that, but the weather is typically a lot less active there. I mean, in terms of activity is typically, I mean, when we talk about like activity, you know, with tornadoes and hurricanes and all that sort of stuff, hurricanes are obviously most prominent in, you know, states like Florida, along the East Coast, and as well as in the Gulf of Mexico. But when it comes to like severe weather, that's the like a large portion of the United States that sees it. It's typically across this region where we see severe weather, snowstorms, all that sort of stuff really takes place across this part of the United States, basically from central US through the East Coast. So typically we see a lot more impacts over, you know, in sort of in terms of activity, at least those areas are a lot more active. But West Coast, those areas typically don't see nearly as much of that sort of active weather. We occasionally see like an isolated tornado threat like on the West Coast, but it's very rare. I've never seen above a slight risk of severe weather before on the West Coast, so there might have been one before, but back to the live radar. Yeah, it's about to make landfall. Looks like they're over Captiva Beach or Captiva Island, most likely. Utah weather is pretty boring. It might be. Thank you, Cosmic, for the $2 super chat. Polk County main concerns will be rain, tropical storm force winds, isolated tornado threat. That's basically it. I mean, won't be much beyond that. But I don't expect much of a flooding threat for Polk County, but there may be some isolated extreme flooding in some areas, but it might include that area. But that'd be my main concern for you right now. Texas is always prepared for any weather. Texas gets every kind of weather. Oklahoma does too. Southern Plains are an area where you can basically see any type of weather any given year. You can get an ice storm, you can get a snowstorm, you can get a tornado outbreak, you can get flooding, sunshine, droughts. You can literally get anything in Texas. It's like a, I don't know. It's an interesting state though. State's always all over the place with weather though. Something real quick. And next advisory is out in 19 minutes. How much snow does Texas get? Depends on where you are, but North Texas can occasionally see upwards of, you know, I mean, it depends every year. Sometimes they don't see anything. Sometimes in some years there will be a little bit of snow. I think last year was upwards of 8 to 12 inches in some areas. But like some other years, there'll never be any, so. Arts, it's going. It's going. It's been busy, but it's been going. Right now, though, I have a break, so don't worry about it. Trying to look for something. All right. I'm gonna go back over to the live cams that we don't have working. So yeah, live cams in Cape Coral are officially done, it looks like. Again, we lost power, it seems like, in Cape Coral. The power outages are currently substantial right now across West Florida. 450,000 people are now without power. Lee County is about 155,000 people are without power. So that's about 35%-ish. Collier County is about 78,000 people without power. So there's a substantial amount of power outages right now on the west coast of Florida. Sarasota County is up to about 20%. So yeah, we're beginning to see a lot of power outages in Florida, especially along the west coast. That's where we're seeing the most power outages this afternoon. So we are seeing a lot of power outages right now. Yeah, power outages are getting pretty crazy. Let me go ahead and do this real quick. I'm gonna post a power outage map on Twitter real quick. By the way, it's kind of interesting to think about, but Hurricane Ian was forecasted to make landfall originally on Thursday night or Friday. That was like 3 or 4 days ago. Isn't that kind of crazy to think? And now it's making landfall today on a Wednesday afternoon. It's crazy to think. It just the timing changed so significantly because of how far south it's making landfall. Because if it went further north, I mean, this would have been making landfall up here or something like that much later. I mean, it would have been making landfall Friday most likely at the earliest, Thursday night or Friday. But obviously, since it made landfall so far to the south, it made landfall a lot earlier. So crazy stuff. All I gotta say is the European model was pretty much spot on with how this hurricane was supposed to go in terms of direction and whatnot, intensity. Been like that for last week. Other than obviously recently a lot of things have changed, but long term it was pretty accurate on having a landfall on the west coast. So gave us that warning well ahead of time, luckily, those that are along the west coast. Yeah, next update from the National Hurricane Center comes out in 15 minutes. And after that, we'll get an idea if it's category, 5 hurricane or if it's still a category 4. We'll figure out what the wind speeds are and all that sort of stuff. And then from there, I will end the live stream. And again, after that, I'll be going live at 5 o'clock. I'll have an update coming out in 15 minutes. Hey, Goku, how you doing? Yeah, this is a pretty large hurricane. It was much larger before. It's still pretty large. The outer bands are actually well off the coast, though, here. That's where the tornado potential would be. There's a lot of water spouts probably there. Some of these more inner bands now, like they're still kind of outer bands, but they're kind of a little bit closer in. These outer bands, though, are probably going to be producing some tornado threat over the next few hours. Again, the expectation is that we're probably going to see an increasing tornado potential on the East Coast this afternoon. So we'll have to watch the potential for a tornado threat. Especially as that, again, the hurricane continues to move inland. It will be an area to watch for tornado potential. We'll see what happens from there. Again, right now, there's not... We were actually supposed to see a tornado potential earlier this morning, but nothing much has happened today. So far, at least. El Dorado does not have to worry about this, no. Arkansas will not see this hurricane. Will be well to your east. A lot of dry air, though, is going to be on the back end of it, so you'll have a lot of dry air over there. Yeah, the last 2 days, we've had a lot of people here, like, been over like 1,000 concurrent viewers, but the chat just flew by the entire time. Luckily, there's not a whole lot today, because I'm not, like, speaking or really rambling off as much as I was yesterday. Yesterday was a very busy day. Same with the days before that. But tonight's live stream will probably be busy. Again, I'm planning on going live sometime around 5 or 6 tonight, and I'll be doing a full hurricane coverage, everything, and all that sort of stuff. Usually the chat's flying, I know. Usually is. No problem, girl. Appreciate you tuning in. Do they still rate tornadoes if they happen during a hurricane? I don't 100% actually know the answer to that. I would assume that they do, but I have no clue. It's kind of hard to do when, if there's like a tornado, for example, over here, for example, like near Cape Coral, they're not going to be able to rate that most likely. It's hard, at least. It would be pretty hard because of all the damage that would happen to begin with. But we'll see, and we'll end up seeing what happens, but pretty close to it. Union Park, Florida, by the way. Apparently 3 miles southeast of Union Park, there's a large tree limb down, partially blocking a street. Our latest report there. Next advisory, again, comes out in about 10 minutes. And we'll see what happens at that advisory. Again, we might get this upgrade to a Category 5, potentially. If not, it's going to be at Category 4 still. I would assume at this point, since it's just so close to landfall, it's probably still at a Category 4 level. But we'll see what happens. Again, you never know with these advisories. I heard that Reed Timmer had to flee from his vehicle. I saw that, yeah. I don't know what he's doing right now, but I've heard that. Hopefully he's staying safe in wherever he is there in the eye area. All I know is that if he is able to get out, he'll probably, after this eye passes over him, which I'm assuming, I don't know where he is, his last location was, but if he's like Cape Coral, for example, or somewhere along these, like, you know, this area where the eye wall is currently going into, yeah, there might be a little break in the action with the eye, so who knows? I don't know where he is, so he might try to, you know, get out of there, but you never know kind of what happens and where he actually is, because if he's further to the east, it doesn't seem like he'll have much of a break. He's on Pine Island. I don't know where that is. Oh man, Pine Island is like the worst place to be for this. Holy, I didn't realize he was there. Yeah, he probably will have a little break in the action. Yeah, Pine Island is not an area that you want to be during this hurricane. Yeah, I hope for the best for him, because that's a very dangerous area. For those that don't know, Pine Island is right here. That's where Pine Island is. It's like, if he was on this Outer Bank, that'd be absolutely the worst thing possible. But this is already pretty bad to begin with. So hopefully he's okay though. Yeah, that's where he was at. Yeah, that's like right next to the ocean. Thank you, Entertainment, for subscribing. I appreciate it. If you're just tuning in, by the way, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. We're doing full Hurricane Ian coverage again later today as well. Stay tuned. I don't know if we have any new wind gusts coming in. The most recent wind gust we had was 110 miles per hour, but we don't have anything new coming in right now. Any of these reports. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe it will become a Category 5. We'll get that update here in a minute. The next advisory is in 9 minutes from the National Hurricane Center. Yeah, we're probably gonna again see the worst of the storm surge be on the back end of this hurricane. That is not yet even filtered in to these areas. Cape Coral will begin to see the worst of the storm surge here over the next few hours. Port Charlotte has not yet seen that. They will see it probably in a few hours as well. So storm surge is definitely gonna get rampant here across again Southwest Florida. Again, up to 18 feet of storm surge is gonna be possible along the coastlines. Yeah, the high tide is later today. That's the problem. High tide is later this afternoon. It's pretty much worst case scenario right now across Southwest Florida. That would include, again, Cape Coral and whatnot. That's when high tide is. Power outages are up to 470,000 people without power now. It was originally about an hour ago, it was at 270,000. So we've almost doubled the amount of power outages, which most of them are in this area here where the eye wall is currently at, which is in the Cape Coral area near Interstate 75 through Port Charlotte in Englewood. So it will not weaken that quickly, actually. It's going to still be a Category 3 hurricane well into land. It will eventually be a Category 1 hurricane, potentially over Central Florida. And then from there, it'll eventually weaken probably over on the East Coast. But it'll eventually, once it goes into the Atlantic Ocean, it'll re-strengthen into at least somewhat of a tropical storm. It'll probably be a tropical storm, at least at a moderate to a strong tropical storm, all the way through Florida. And then eventually, once it goes into the Atlantic Ocean, it may re-strengthen as it goes towards the Carolinas. But we'll have to wait and see. I hope they stay safe, Jamie. Hope they stay safe. 206 mile per hour wind gust at 9K feet? Really? Well, that's possible. Obviously, surface winds are a little bit different. They could very well be a bit lower than that. The current forecast or maximum wind gust right now is 190 miles per hour at the 11 a.m. update. So if they're 195 or 200, that's pretty much Category 5 level in terms of wind gusts and whatnot. And wind speeds would be closer to 160 in that scenario. Tornadoes are like mini hurricanes. Yeah, that's why I kind of say like hurricanes are much worse than a tornado really ever will be, because hurricanes do a lot more widespread damage. Yes, Virginia, thank you. They're in the background. And by the way, the extreme wind warning is still ongoing here, southwest of Port Charlotte, for another 6 minutes. But regardless, we're going to still, again, next update comes out in 6 minutes. We're just waiting for that update to come out. And we'll see if this does end up getting to a Category 5 level, or if it's still staying at a Category 4 level. Wind gusts now, by the way, south of Port Charlotte are now up to 88 miles per hour. That is expected to continue to rise. Also up to hurricane force winds east of Cape Coral near San Carlos Park. Beginning to see winds obviously increasing here in the inland areas with this hurricane. And again, along the East Coast, we're still seeing somewhat near tropical storm force winds. It's near tropical storm force winds at Coral Springs and Miami. Those areas have been pretty close to it for a while now. The eye of the hurricane's about to make landfall here in the Captiva Island area. Hurricanes are easier to predict. Yeah, that's very true. Hurricanes are easier to predict than a tornado will be. Tornadoes are pretty all of a sudden. That's why they're a bit more dangerous. Hurricanes you can have time to evacuate for and whatnot. Almost every scenario. Thanks, Gordon. Appreciate it. Real quick, I'm gonna check if we have those cameras up again. No, we don't. This is the last live look that we had, by the way, in this is the last live photo that we had in Cape Coral, which is about an hour ago. And this is when we were starting to see storm surge. Now, again, the storm surge was not nearly as bad at this given time as it probably is now. It's probably a lot worse with how the waters are probably now going inland. This is looking east, by the way, so this is actually going out to sea. We're probably now starting to see the storm surge go inland. So a little bit of a difference there in terms of the live cam that we did have in Cape Coral. But obviously power is now out for most of Cape Coral now. And power outages are up now to 500,000, I'm pretty sure, just near that in all of Florida. So they're very close to 500,000. Hope they stay safe, Vicky. Hope they stay safe. Especially over there in Tampa. .156. Again, we got 4 minutes until the next National Hurricane Center advisory. And after that gets issued. Yes, there's a tornado watch. It actually goes until 5 p.m. Eastern. That's all for all of southern Florida and central Florida. Once this advisory gets issued, and whether it's a Category 4 or 5, regardless, I'm going to end the live stream because I do have a meeting at 3. And after that, I will be back live sometime at 5 to 6 o'clock tonight. But again, we'll wait for this advisory from the National Hurricane Center. We'll figure out if it is a Category 5 hurricane or not before it makes landfall. So, give you an update there in a few moments. Hurricane Ian is basically making landfall right now near the Captiva Island area. Yeah, there's no official landfall yet, but it's going to probably be official at some point, probably within the next, I would say, 20 minutes or so, near the Captiva Island area. Most likely will be an official landfall here pretty shortly. That will end up happening here pretty soon. Yeah, it seems like that's almost guaranteed it's going to make landfall somewhere, at least in that area. I'm not sure what the exact location will be, but it'll probably end up being in that region. All right, we officially have an update. Again, Ian's causing catastrophic storm surge, winds, and flooding. Waiting to see if the wind speed has changed at all. That will be coming out in just a moment. If not, it might just be a Category 2, or excuse me, a Category 4. Yeah, it could potentially get up to a Category 5, but go and see if we have an update there on the wind speed. In center. So on the 11 p.m. update, 11 p.m. update was again, or 11 a.m. update. The 11 a.m. update was 155 miles per hour. The next update should come out here in just a second to see what the wind speeds are. we will see if it became a category 5 or not. If not, honestly, it doesn't really matter. It's still going to do the same impacts as if it were to be a category 5. It's just a very significant hurricane. It's been very close to being at that level. We'll have to see and wait what happens, though, with this hurricane. Double check here and see if they're updated. All right, latest update. It's still at 155 mile per hour winds. It has not changed. So again, it's been on the cusp of a category 5, so it has not yet gotten to that level. But the latest update is that I think the pressure has dropped a little bit more, though. No, the pressure is still at 937. So the pressure is at 937 millibars. Sustained winds are still at 155 miles per hour. So believe it or not, that has not changed at all. So it's been very well at the same intensity as before. Again, the current track is still forecasted to impact areas in the Carolinas and whatnot long term. Over the short term, again, it's most likely going to be a category 3 hurricane upon or a category 4 upon landfall. Inland, it'll still be a category 3 tonight, and eventually it'll drop down to a category 1 or 2 as it gets closer to Winter Haven. It'll be a tropical storm level, most likely near Orlando, and eventually back to a tropical storm into the Atlantic Ocean, and eventually going into areas in the Carolinas. It could get up to a category 1 hurricane. There is actually hurricane watches in effect for those along the Carolina coast into Georgia, so there could be some hurricane impacts if it's able to develop to that level. But as of right now, it's still 155 mile per hour winds. It's still a very strong hurricane, has not changed really hardly at all. So but it is going to be making landfall here over the next several minutes, probably somewhere near the Captiva Island area. That's what we're looking at in the latest updates. We do have a new tornado warning to get to real quickly that has just been issued. I want to get to it just before I go off air here. We do have a new tornado warning for Brevard County. This is going to include areas near Yeehaw Junction. This was an area that we had a tornado warning actually not too long ago in. There is a new tornado warning here for areas near Yeehaw Junction, west of Fellsmere, and that's west of Sebastian and Vero Beach. Make sure you seek shelter immediately, again, away from windows and lowest floor possible. You're included in this tornado warning. Here's a look at the velocity. So we have actually a pretty decent amount of rotation here. So this will be a storm to watch. Again, it's going to be moving off to the north and northwest. So those, again, kind of west of Interstate 95. Make sure you're seeking shelter immediately away from windows and lowest floor possible. So our latest update there. Other than that, I appreciate everybody tuning into this live stream. Again, I'll have another live stream beginning sometime around 5 or 6 p.m. tonight. I'll post an update on when that is on YouTube. Before you leave, if you haven't already, make sure to like the live stream and make sure to subscribe if you've not already. We'll be keeping you updated with the latest on Hurricane Ian as it continues to move into Florida and all the impacts that are expected. Again, more interactive live stream and stuff like that tonight. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a great, safe rest of your day if I don't see you tonight. And we will see you guys all again soon.